going live.
Good evening, everybody. Once again, I haven't got the mute on. Woohoo! Welcome to the Asylum podcast. It is Monday again. It happens every freaking week. Episode 36, I think now. Everybody is massively excited because we have CitizenCon has now been and gone. And we're going to do exactly what every other streamer has been doing this week, which is going over CitizenCon. Oh, yeah. So if you haven't heard, there's some stuff that happened. So we're going to talk about it, and you've probably heard it to death. But now you get to hear our opinions on it. So there we go.
Oh, robotic miserable kicking in there.
Oh no, I've got the things the wrong way around. Right, okay, everybody, close your eyes.
I
See,
am
this is the problem.
Vertigo. I am HCVertigo.
Just all close your eyes for 2 seconds. Otherwise, the illusion will get ruined.
Brother Ryan.
So you didn't even see that. You didn't even see that.
Have you sorted it now?
Sort what? Sort what out? There was nothing wrong at all. No.
Didn't swap the names around, just swapped the faces.
Well, that was easier. Trust me, that was easier. Chat. So, do you know what? This time I thought I'd started. For once, we actually started and it was all right. It was a good start. Name. There's always something. Just like
anyway. Just Miz, you're so amazing. You're so amazing.
I mean, the thing was, I thought, right, this is exactly the same podcast we had last week, same people, everything else, and everyone joined Zoom in the same order. So I thought it's fine. It'll all be exactly as it was. I don't have to actually do anything.
Bring back madness.
Bring back madness. Let's see. I quit.
Yeah. Hashtag bring back madness.
So, yes, if you didn't realise, today we are joined by SuperMacBrothersRyan and Mr. HCVertigo. How are you both? How are you since CitizenCon? Have you come down from the hype high yet? Or was you not hyped in the first place?
Oh, I was very hyped. Yeah, no, I'm still quite hyped because I'm actually going through all the panels that I sat through during the live stream. And now learning what they actually said inside it. So, well, actually, no, I only had 6 beers throughout the whole of it, and I drank them all through the keynote because I was excited. And then for the rest of the time, I had nothing else to do. So I missed out on a lot of the panels, obviously, because we were watching one of them. I was watching the cloth one while the other one was playing about the flight, and then I thought, shit, I should have paid attention to that one. But I'm just waiting for them to be released on the website so I can start reading them.
Yeah.
But I'm
waiting for them to go up to YouTube and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you?
I'm super excited that I managed to not fall asleep through any of the panels, especially the Tony Z one. It was actually pretty interesting. That one actually pretty. Tony Z can go either way. He could be either like an engineer telling you about how his day went, or it could be like something super interesting about how Star Citizen does this and that. But I was pretty pleased by his presentation, which I believe was NPCs in the universe. How they're going to have.
Yeah, I mean, his thing is subsumption.
Wasn't it as well?
I haven't seen it probably so much, but I think he's like, he's been going on for a while about subsumption, hasn't he? So that's his sort of the AI tech and everything else. So
he gets to just use his imagination and run with it. That's why we love him, because it's whatever Tony says, Tony gets. It's cool stuff. But I missed that. It was a lot of it I wasn't really paying attention to. So I'm looking forward to that coming up on YouTube and nailing through that one.
Did you? So you did the redacted watch party thing. Did you hear much of this? Did you actually all listen, or did you talk over the top of like the presentations?
It was hit on. I mean, we didn't really talk over them. There were points where one of us would sort of run off with something, and then we would get told off by twerk or chat to stop talking. I don't mean that. It was in a nice way. But it's hard to stay focused on every single panel that you're watching for that length of time. So there was times when I was really interested and focused on it, and then there were times that I sort of found myself staring into space, thinking, wow, that was like 3 hours of my life. I didn't even realize where I was for those 3 hours. And then I come back in again, and I'm halfway through the cloth tech stuff. So I caught most of it, and I understood a lot of it, but then there was a big chunk of it that I missed and didn't understand that I just want to go back through in my own time.
Because I think you guys, you kind of jumped between the main stage and the second one, didn't you?
Well, the way that we handled it, we put it up for vote, first and foremost, so the chat could decide ultimately what we were going to watch. But then we would always have in mind that if one of them was a talky one, you could have that on and have the visuals in the corner, so you don't need to hear what they're saying. So you put the one on, the main one is the talky, and then you have the little visual one in the corner that you could all see. But Twerks had to keep moving it around because of the demonstrations they were putting on. But it was good, and it went really well. First time we've all done it without Saurus handling it, so it went well. I hope it went well anyway.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yeah, I ended up just telling everybody, listen, I'm gonna watch what I want to watch. Go somewhere else if you don't like what I'm doing. That's essentially what it came down to me. Like everybody's like, no, we're not gonna watch Tony Z talk about NPCs for another half hour. Like, nope, I want to watch this. Like, it's Tony Z, and he's super enthusiastic every time he starts talking about anything he's working on. And it's just like like I said, we're gonna kind of dip our toes into whatever this thing's about he's talking about, and we're gonna kind of feel it out for the first 5 minutes. And if I think it's interesting, we're committed. Like, I'm sorry.
No,
it's kind of like our podcast is 10% Star Citizen. His is like 10%. You can probably understand what he's talking about. The rest of it's just wow, yeah, that's amazing.
I thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah,
it was a stream that you if they didn't want anyone talking over the stream, watch the official stream for fuck's sake. Don't come and join someone else. I mean, I get it. Like, we don't talk too much, but we're going to discuss little things or make comments.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, watch the main fucking thing. That's what it's there for, So.
And we can also, now that we've broached the subject, we can also talk about the huge fiasco of CIG's own streaming service, and then suddenly,
wow.
Oh, we're on Twitch, by the way. We went back.
Do you know what? I almost forgot about that. It's because 99% of it was on Twitch. I actually almost forgot that complete fuck up at the start. But yeah, I mean, aren't they lucky they didn't charge for it?
Oh
my god, they dodged a mass barrage of bullets from that one. They dropped
sometimes
would it have worked though if they did charge for it? Would they have done it differently? Would they have had that money to invest more into getting it so it didn't have that lag, or was it going to happen anyway?
I think it was tech like site or website or something else wise. I don't know whether chucking more money at it would have made a difference. Considering it works on Twitch.
If we could kind of ask the question, logically pan this out. If they had charged everybody $20 and it had worked properly, no problem. If it had charged everybody $20 and it had failed like it had, massive problem.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing though. I kind of suspected. I don't want to say I told you so, but this is going to come off as an I told you so. I kind of suspected deep down in the pit of my stomach that because CIG had never done anything like this before, they had never done their own streaming broadcast on their own website or through this whoever this company was, that we were going to have technical difficulties. It would have been great if they could have done an RTV like the day before to get everything kind of make sure everything was going to be
live from the Well, I mean, realistically though, right? Say this is what they wanted to do going forwards. Like, it would have made sense to have had a free one as a test show in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, just do it for free the first time without even considering charging, just to make sure that can this tech handle it? Can it all work and everything? Then when you know that works, then you can start thinking about charging
do we have
for
our
a
settings
service.
Correctly? Like,
yeah.
When I go live, every streamer, when they go live for like the first 5 minutes of broadcast, check your broadcast, check your audio levels, check your color levels, or
because it works well for me every time I check all that shit.
Works great.
Make sure people's faces are in the right place.
Right. Make sure your audio isn't desynced by 15 fucking seconds.
Oh, that got. I mean, it sort of settled itself out, didn't it? And it came back to normal, and then it just went back.
Then it got synced again, and then they're like, they pulled the plug, and we're back to Twitch. And I'm just like, everybody was complaining about it. Like, Vertigo, this is stupid. Let's go do something else. I'm like, no. Let's give them about a few minutes to sort this out. And sure enough, everybody started posting the Twitch link.
Do you know when you kind of get like, CIG always start late anyway, so this is like their late buffering. This is when they would have normally ironed it out, but the fact of not starting late, they just started, and it's like, no, this is terrible. Stop it.
And actually, they did start late. They started 10 minutes late.
10 minutes. That's
they did.
That's
when
pretty
we heard
good.
of the delays. Obviously, with it being the time it was, and I thought, right, it's going to be like 4:30 in the morning when we get finished. When I heard about delays, I thought, not today.
Yeah, they pushed. I didn't realize it. We looked at the time of the start time. We were there, ready to go at the start time, and then I checked the website, and the start time moved back by 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they got something going on.
It's one of those magic timers that keeps changing. It's like, thanks for that.
That's crazy.
The countdown to CitizenCon reached 000. Then I checked the schedule, and it had moved back by 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just how it is. We'll play Star Citizen for a bit.
Overall, I would say it was apart from that little hiccup at the start, I think the rest of it went pretty smooth. Even the demo, I don't think it didn't crash at all.
The demo went pretty well.
It did crash a few times. Yeah, as soon as you made the
so
coffee,
I missed the first part of it. Okay.
You wandered over and it went nope.
Oh, did it completely crash?
Yeah.
That was
overall, I think it was a success.
Mm.
It's more inclined for people that are attending because you can. So it's the whole event, but the fact, I wish it would have been nice if they got them on YouTube quicker, the videos, but that was partly what the money was going to. That if we had paid, I'm sure we would have got it.
Fine.
But I think the keynote was excellent. The panels dipped at certain times, which I expected because the content wasn't really what I was that interested in. But then the other panels were like the flight panel, the TZ one. They were all really, really good panels. And at the end, the road to release at first was a big disappointment. I was like, what does all this mean? What's beta and all this sort of stuff? And then we got the Squadron 42 demo trailer, and it was like, yeah, okay, that literally just ticks the box for me. So I ultimately thought it was a success.
I agree. I thought it was a success, but I would definitely say rating CitizenCon, this CitizenCon against past ones, I'd say this is one of the weaker ones. There wasn't
in
quite
terms
a lot
of content.
In terms of it wasn't a lot of future tech. This was more about what's coming out next month and then what's coming out next year.
Do you know what's funny though is, sorry, before the stream happened, a lot of people were saying, I'm sick of all this stuff that they keep showing us that is years ahead. I want something that's now. And then they present something that's now, and there's people that would rather see the years ahead stuff. So it's ultimately they can't please everyone.
Personally, I thought that this was this was a better idea. Like, show stuff that we've got coming. Like, I suppose the problem is, like, 3.3, some of us have already been playing it, so you could argue that it wasn't too much of a show-off, but then they showed Hurston, which we're not getting straight away. There's part of me, the cynical part of me, thinks that they held that back on purpose, just so that they could have it as a show-off on... Because if everybody had already had such of it. So that was literally held back just so they could show it off.
That's what they said, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I do think... I personally think that's better, because we've had... so many CitizenCons now where they've shown the future tech, and like that's exactly what people say. Well, where is it then? Where a year later, where is that thing that we saw in Germany Gamescom? Yeah. And then people complain, and then on top of that, because I remember the one where they fly down and they go through the hoops in space to lead them to a certain spot. Like, they're not even in space anymore. They got rid of those. So like, if you show it too far in the future, they change their idea, and they're not even making that anyway. So. Yeah. Personally, I think this is a better way to do it. I think showing what's coming up, what they are more prepared with and more certain that's coming in the game. I think that, to me, was a better way of showing CitizenCon.
What I liked about that... Sorry, go on. You sure?
Let me go with this, because
you run.
The nice thing about that is, showing stuff that's more certain coming up. Is as we go into the future, there's going to be less and less sexy tech. There's going to be less of that cool, sexy tech coming out that... the planetary stuff and the shaders, like the improved planetary tech, the trees and whatnot. There's going to be less and less of that
content, isn't it?
Yes, it's just going to be content. Oh, here's this new ship we developed. Oh, here's this new gameplay element we have. Here's our fire extinguishers working. You're going to have less and less of this really sexy stuff to show off. And we saw a lot of that in CitizenCon this year. It's like, oh, here's our improved clothing shaders. Here's talk about NPCs and how they're going to behave in the background. Eventually, like I said with the ATVs before in the podcast, they're going to have to change how their content, what they're going to focus on the content. Pretty soon, I guess either ATV or RTVs are going to have to start, being phased out, or they're going to have to change to what the community's doing.
I think it'll definitely change into more be more akin to what's happening in the game's development. But the way that I saw this CitizenCon was more like when Bethesda do something and they go, and this is our new Fallout game or whatever, and it's coming out in 2 months. That is kind of what CIG have done. Instead of saying, like we said before, months, years down the line, it was literally this. Like, you look at this gameplay demo, not all of it, certain things weren't going to be in it, but Hurston, the missions, Clovis, those sort of things. They showed that, and ultimately that can be here within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it's literally on the doorstep of coming. And when people see that sort of stuff, instead of looking at it and going, oh, yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it, it's more, oh, that's the next patch. So I think that's where the hype was, and I believe that was a good step to take. rather than working. And they did say they were going to push back the patch so they didn't have to work on something specific for CitizenCon and take devs away from 3.3, which is a good idea in my opinion.
I mean, I was just going to say, chat, you can let us know whether you thought it was, whether you enjoyed it, whether you thought it was a good or bad or better CitizenCon. But yeah, I was just going to say that I also think that the stuff that they showed off was, to me at least, on the bits that I've seen, because I haven't caught up with everything, I'll be honest, but the bits that I've seen, everything has progressed a lot more. It's looking so much better. They're still funky and there's still bugs and everything else, but everything does look like it's definitely progressing.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
if I could be the one dissenter who didn't quite like what CitizenCon was, I wanted to see more about the jump points, what we're going to do to get to the next system, more stuff on some of the larger capital ships like the Javelin, the Bengal. We did see that in the Squadron 42 demo, but not really heavily featured.
No, I'm open to seeing future stuff. I know, like, it's obviously everyone's different, but I would love to see stuff it excites me. I like to see stuff that's coming soon, and I like to see stuff that we can expect because it drives the imagination, doesn't it?
I mean, the future stuff's good, and there's. To me, I feel like we're getting lots of empty stuff at the moment, which is, we've said before, like the moons and the planets, there's lots of nothing. So to me, it was more exciting to see the technology getting better and the mechanics. That's what I'd like to see, more mechanics, more how the salvaging's going to work and that sort of thing. Start seeing some of that come to life. I can understand not seeing jump points. I know a lot of people said, we're going to see them, but I think because we're not even having other systems yet, there's no point. Well, it's too far off because we saw jump points. Because that's another thing we have seen a jump point years ago and how to get there and everything else. But and no way that it's going to be anything like that probably now. And maybe they probably don't even know how to do it yet. They've probably changed their mind and thought we're going to have to change this, and so they're probably not even at that stage. I would have thought.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't think so. I think they are focused obviously on, like they said, getting Hurston out, then getting Microtech, Art Core. I mean, Microtech Crusader's not even on the roadmap yet, so they're getting the main 2 planets done, and then it's mainly just core tech, isn't it? But while they're building this core tech, they're also working on things like planets, ships, mechanics, and all these sort of things. And hopefully, by the time they finish the server meshing, all these mechanics will be finished and perfectly lined up in time, which is unlikely, but would be cool. But it's going well so far. I'm liking the progress.
So was there anything on the roadmap that you saw that's worth pointing out? I mean,
everything on the roadmap last Friday was just 3.3.
Yeah, it's pretty much all ticked. It's pretty much almost all
just
done.
Waiting. I'm just looking. When I go to the roadmap, all I look at is Hurston and Lawville, and I see what progress they're making. Object Container Streaming is in. It still needs a little bit more tweaking and stuff, but it's in. Hurston Lawville is so close, but they keep adding new tasks. I'm sure it's tasks that crop up as they're playing through it. They think, well, we probably need that as well. But that's all that's left. There's like 20 on Lawville and like 15 on Hurston. Once they're done, and I'm sure before they're even done, Eva Cottages will get hold of it. It's so close.
Well, they're saying now they're like 84 and 86% done. So that's like. Yeah, that's nothing really. The whole thing is 97% done, so I don't know how long you think we're going to be till we get that.
I reckon 2 weeks. I'm saying it now. 2 weeks' time, Eva Cotti will get hold of Hurston, but that's just my speculation.
Also, I would still have a lot to do in 3.3 with performance optimizations. But
I would say possibly. I think it depends on how quick they end up making 3.3 to live, because I don't think they're going to. Until that's on live, they're constantly kind of working on it. Once it's live, I think they can push it to one side and go and work on like the 3.35 section. So no, it's pretty good. So
there's not much to talk about on the roadmap right now.
No, that's about it. So one of the things I was going to talk about briefly before we move on for the content of the keynote speech and stuff. It's a little bit different. So I'm sure. We can talk about the show floor rather than the actual thing. The things that they had on show. So there was like the life-size dragonfly that JR made.
That's cool.
That looks
they need to stick an engine in that.
They do need to stick an engine. Imagine just having that and it actually working. But what you couldn't tell from not being there is they actually programmed the computer screens and everything else, so you could actually rev it up and everything and get the sound effects from it and everything else, which was a really cool idea.
That was amazing. Yeah, I wish I'd got to play it. I want that at home.
It was. I mean, I knew they were working on it. My NDA that I was talking about for the last few weeks is that I was working on the project with JR for the big, massive Kraken that you saw there. There's like the diorama on top. I did all the painting for that, so I was aware that they were making these things. But like they kept saying, showing sort of pictures of this dragonfly being made, but it's freaking huge. It's massive. Like when it's not until you see someone sitting on it. It's a problem.
It's scaled. It's slightly scaled. The dragonfly you can sit on was scaled down just a little bit because the game files, the dragonfly is actually massive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which is crazy. And if you look at like and what was weird is when you look at the diorama and the things on top, like you've got the dragonfly and you're painting it, it's only like this big. In fact, I can show you how big it is because I've got one here, which I haven't taken off all the plastic yet. But yeah, so this is like this. So this is the scale that I had to paint, which is 172. And then, so the people that I had to paint for the top of it, one of them was bending over and it was literally the size of my fingernail. So if you think of that sitting on there, like the scale of this game, and it wasn't until you start painting these things and then you realise. So we had like the cutlass, I'm painting the cutlass, and then I'm painting a person that's this big. And I can show you some of the pictures on the thing, but it's just
your wrist ached after that, didn't it?
The little one, well, all of it, yeah.
I know. You see close-ups of some of those models, and you're like, "Boy, that paint job on those people don't look all that good." Then you realize just how small they are.
Yeah.
It's just like you got to get in there with a tiny little brush and a jeweler's.
I mean, obviously, I was under time constraints, so it didn't have a huge amount of time to tidy everything up, which I would like to have done. I had to paint about 100 odd models. So I'll just go. Is that still working?
So the excuse I tell everybody, that's like tabletop miniatures. That's what you do for tabletop miniatures. It's arm's length, for your paint job.
Well, this also it's because of partly the camera and the pictures I took are like high pixel camera, so it's so that you can zoom in quite a lot more than you. Because there's some things like, so I've painted models for like Des and things like that on stream, like kind of like this size normal tabletop thing, and even with your eye you look at it and it looks fine. You get a magnifying glass and look at it, then you start seeing all the paint strokes and everything else, and it looks like maybe a bit more of a mess. So when you see some of these pictures and you blow them up, they are actually like the size of, like it's like taking a magnifying glass to these things. So they were. I mean, so yeah. To just give you an idea, I think I got the picture on this. Yeah, there you go. So this is the person that I painted. It literally is the size of my fingernail just sitting on there.
Yeah.
So the paintbrush that I had to use to paint it was called like the Psycho or something, because it's just so small. But the funny thing with these people is that they were actually all wearing the same outfit. So I think it was like the marine sort of armor. But because I was doing, they were supposed to be the ones that were orchestrating the ships coming in and things like that, I had to change the colours. So I was sort of painting where there weren't any lines on it. So if anyone wants to see these pictures and go through them, if you do !models in chat, I think that should give you the link to where I've uploaded them on the Citizen Spotlight.
If you're directing the planes landing and taking off, I believe it's called marshalling.
Marshalling, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if I actually got the ones at the people now. Painted.
Oh man, those! I love that Buccaneer. Those
make sure you vote up that thing as well. On the
make sure you hit that vote.
Okay, I only had 42 things, so
only 42 things. It's not a great deal, is it?
I could only upload 42 pictures on the website. If you want to see more of them, you can go and join my Discord, and I've actually put up pretty much pictures of all of them.
Now, is that a decal you painted on there?
No, that was freehand. I painted it's literally this big, and I painted the big bennies on there freehand. I painted
the Star Kitten one.
I have somewhere. Did I not upload the Star Kitten one? Oh, there it is. There you go. So everything was freehand painted. So the Star Kitten model was freehand. Hosting a podcast.
As he is his painting, that would be amazing.
So yeah, like so
that's talent right there.
So you can see this dragonfly that I'm painted. Now imagine that little section there is where I had to freehand paint the start kitten thing on. I haven't got the boxes, but the boxes were even smaller. They were this big. It's
now
it's
is
crazy.
If we scroll down a little bit on those pictures, Ms., does this confirm that the forklift is going to be drivable in Star Citizen since you had to paint one?
So the forklift is actually probably the one model that everybody's just going, oh wow, like, I've already got an order from Cameron from CIG that wants a forklift. My dad really loved the forklift. Like everybody that's seen the forklift for some reason is going on about that. Fuck everything else. It's like, oh wow, that forklift's amazing. So that was actually one of the most popular models. I did tweet out to say,
it's like a real life forklift though, isn't it?
It's like a heister.
Why haven't they got like a 900 years in the future forklift?
Yeah,
it looks like a basic one down at the docks.
Well, to be fair, it is Drake. It is Drake, so you know they probably just found what they could get. So yeah, but the forklift was quite a fun one to do. I spent a lot of time on that to get the whole battered look and everything else, but that was pretty cool.
Nice.
So the other thing we've got as well. So I've got some models left over, but not a lot. I have this. This is one of the turrets from the Kraken. Okay, so I haven't finished painting this one because it was a spare one and it was slightly broken. But it's pretty big. And the funny thing was when they told me they was doing 1/72 scale, I thought this is going to be small. Sorry, did I think it was going to be small or big? Small. I said to them, look, that's a bit small. Like the people are going to be this big. The Dragonfly come out and I got the model and I thought that's a pretty small model. Like why don't you do it at 135, which is like the standard tabletop? And it wasn't until I opened like the engines and the things like this is a turret gun from the front turret. And you see the size of that. And it's like, wow, if they had done that at a bigger scale, this thing would have been like this big. And the cutlass.
Compare that to the Dragonfly.
So this is the turret. So this is one of the guns from the turret that was on the front of the Kraken. So they had
either a mammoth
two
or a
dual ones.
Repeated.
And this is, I mean, you know what the size of the Dragonfly is in game. Sorry, I can't get things right, but yeah, it's about the size of the. Yeah.
Jesus.
If that shot you while you were flying the Dragonfly, you would just be.
It could shoot dragonflies. It's that freaking big. It's crazy.
Well,
another way to look. This is a Buccaneer Engine, and this is the gun. So the gun's bigger than the Buccaneer Engine, twice in lengthways. It's crazy.
Mental.
And then you also compare this turret, which is the Kraken turret, to this turret, which is the Buccaneer turret. And these are all to scale. Okay, so everything is 1/72 scale.
At home.
And these are these were a real pain in the ass. So these are the guns that are on the Buccaneer. And you can see like all this stuff, the extra stuff that's on there is basically the flashing that as the resin model prints, it has to have supports. And every time I tried to snip one of these supports, it broke the gun, and the gun is that small. So these are like the guns from the Buccaneer. I went through a shit ton of those. It's a pain in the ass, but yeah. And then the other thing I had was the grey cat. Some of my two favourite models was the Dragonflies, the grey cat, and the forklift. They were really cool. Models. So these are like, so again, they're all the details on the side and the orange painting. They're all like hand painted. There was no markers on it. I just made it up. So well, I copied everything from in-game assets. So
Ms., the names are wrong again.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. No one noticed. Nobody noticed until you said anything. I knew this was coming, but I just, we're not there. Shush. No one noticed.
Chose to ignore it.
Shush.
Shush. No one noticed until you point these things out.
Rewind that bit, because then we can just record over it. No, are we live?
Yeah.
Oh.
What? What? No. Fine. So the other thing this was in the this is a crane. This was in like inside the hangar bay where the Buccaneer was. So a lot of people have been asking, is this a gun? So I need to clarify that this isn't a gun. This is actually a crane. There should be a little plastic hook that comes on like a magnet, that's how it was lifting things up. That's not actually attached. And then we had this. You never know, maybe. And then we had the Buccaneer Engine. So I had to damage this one. Well, this one didn't actually print properly. They said they wanted a damaged one anyway to go on the cart. So this one didn't print properly. So I ended up just painting it like it was damaged. And this was the first time I'd done these sort of effects. So I think it turned out pretty good. I was pretty pleased with that in the end. But yeah, so this is like kind of the selection of some of the things I had to do. This was before I got everything. So I went on holiday halfway through this project, and then when I come back, I literally had to do 2 Buccaneers, the Cutlass, 3 Dragonflies, and some more crates and things. So it all got a little bit hectic towards the end. So Noodle took the Cutlass and the 2 Buccaneers with him to Texas. I think on the Monday before the CitizenCon, so I was painting up until the Friday before the event to try and get all these done. So yeah, it was quite a lot of work. So the grey cat buggies are pretty cool. Yeah, I was not stressed at all. No,
I could just see this being like, you know, when you go to the shop and you like Toys R Us or whatever, big like toy shops, and you can see these little diorama things that you can pick up. Like you get lots of little like soldiers and whatnot. I can just imagine these being packs that they sell, and you can have your own little display going on. I would totally be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I would, of everything I painted, I wanted. So, I also did some crates. And I did. It was like, can I just keep it? Can you do 2 of everything so that I can keep
Send them a photograph of it. Put the photographs on the crack.
He just wants a little necklace with like a forklift attached to it, or a gray cat.
No, I want one of the...
Make one a ring. Make just a tiny little gray cat mounted into a ring, like an
dragon.
Oh yeah, no. So the Star Kitten one, I didn't tell them I was painting, and I kept that secret, so they didn't know until they opened it on the day, and it's like, oh shit, there's a Star Kitten dragonfly. So I was a bit lucky that there was a worry that they weren't going to allow to put it on the actual Kraken itself, but then it's their asset, so there's no reason.
It did kind of like nullify the whole Kraken. Yeah,
the captain of the Kraken is very flamboyant.
That is my dragonfly.
Very camp, if you will.
Yeah, it's hard to show the scale on like this Cutlass and things. But I had a lot of problem with the engines. I mean, the engine, I think I did put a picture up of the engine, and the engine itself for well, you can see there on that one with my keyboard. The Cutlass is the size of like my keyboard, and the engine. It's fucking size of my hand just for one of the engines, which is just absolutely insane. And it was because these are designed for in-game in space, it's fine. But when you putting them on a 3D printed model, the landing gears are so small, it's carrying all that weight, these tiny little landing gears, and the engines are floating in midair, and the weight of those, like trying to pull down on the side of the ship. They weren't made.
Into that stuff?
I pinned, so the Buccaneer engine, so you can see here the engines are separate, so I had to pin through here and here on the Buccaneer, and the same, I had a lot of problem with the Cutlass.
Why don't you tell us what the process of pinning is for those of us who don't do minis? I know what it is, but maybe some people in our...
Okay, so pinning means that you get a tiny little drill, and you basically drill a hole in the side, which you can't see too well in there, and then you put like a metal rod in one side, and then you drill the other side of the thing and put the rod through there, so that it basically gives it extra, well, kind of like I use a metal rod rather than like a wooden dowel. It's normally chunkier, but yeah, so you put the rod through, then you glue it, and that gives it extra support. So yeah, it's kind of, because otherwise they think it would fall apart.
I used to look at Warhammer 40,000 minis, and they had some rather similar to the Buccaneer. They had some very chunky parts that were held together by very questionable joints, and that would always come up for certain models in the Warhammer universe. Like you had to drill in with a tiny little hand drill. You have this tiny little, it looked like a tiny little screwdriver. You put a little drill in there, you drill a hole, and you take a piece of like a paper clip or something, you slide it in there, and you glue it together.
And I only snapped the drill bit about 5 times.
Are you saying that the Cutlass landing gear in real life is not really strong enough?
It's not suitable. Cutlass. Yeah.
So
it's really not.
It's phony, basically.
It's tiny. It's not. It's really not big enough. The landing gear for the size of the ship. It's really
rework the Cutlass.
Rework the Cutlass.
Actually, new rework.
From something, I've worked on a lot of material handling stuff that uses hydraulics. I could tell you I could tell you for certainty. I'm not an engineer, a hydraulic or structural engineer, but I can tell you as a mechanic, someone who has experience with stuff like that moves with hydraulics. The Cutlass landing gear cannot function the way it is, the way it's built.
Yeah,
it can't. It's impossible.
So yeah, that's that. I mean, the transporting it is a nightmare. And on the back of the Buccaneer, they've all snapped off on this. But you know, you got on the back of the Buccaneer Engineer, there's all these little flaps. They basically every time I just looked at the engine, they were falling off, which was a pain in the ass. So I had to glue. I spent the last day before I handed it back just gluing all those back on. It was just crazy. So anyway, yeah, that was the project that I've been working on and kept so quiet. It basically took all my time, so I stopped streaming and everything else to get those. If you guys want to see the pictures, then do !models in chat. That'll take you to the Spectrum post, the Community Hub post. There are more pictures on my Discord, so if you do !Discord, I think the link's still working. You can come and take a look on the channel in there. I will be painting the Dragonfly. I'm going to clean this up, and then I will be painting this on stream. And I've also got a Grey Cat buggy somewhere, which I'll paint on stream. I'll get it in a bit. So I'll be doing that on stream as well, so you can come and watch me paint those. As for the models themselves, JRD+F, which you know, who built the Kraken, built the Dragonfly, and else, he's the one that actually 3D printed all the models. So there was a team that Darren and Westbrook basically cleaned up all the assets that they got from game, which apparently took a shit ton of work to get them 3D printable. And then they basically cleaned them all up, and then JR and that printed them out and sent them to me. I just kept having these boxes appear at my door full of stuff. It was just so cool. It was like Christmas. It was like Christmas every day, though. It's like, oh my God, it's a Buccaneer. Oh my God, it's this and that. It was so cool having all these models. So yeah, I really enjoyed working on it. And if you do !JR in chat, I'll give you a link to their website as well. But there is talks of trying to get these models made so that they can be ordered. So I think there's some talks of maybe, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say or anything, so I won't say too much, but they are talking with CIG to see what they can get an agreement
here's a question
on. Said too much.
Did you have one of these packages show up, you open it up, and you're like, you look at the pieces and you're like, where the fuck does this go?
Yeah, there was
moments.
Yeah, and they did. So this gun here, part of the reason I've got this gun for the turret is they sent this and then the middle section that it attaches to, but they printed out two of exactly the same gun. So I'm sitting there going, does that go? That one's upside down. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't.
You need to take the parts you have now and create something monstrous from them all. Just into one
just put that gun on them. Just put that gun on top.
You could do a flying turret.
Yeah, Dragonfly.
A turret with two engines.
Machine guns. You should create an abomination.
So the 3D printed models, I think I saw someone in chat ask, they were printed with the Form 2 printer, which is an SLA printer, yeah. So
expensive for the materials, though, isn't it? What was the cost of it?
Well, I haven't got an official cost of it, but Darren said if you worked out how much. Yeah, it was something like, so the cutlass alone, just for the materials of the print, this was a rough estimate of when he worked out, so it could be wrong, but it was about £500 or £600 for the resin.
So when you go to buy them from the shops, you had £500, £600 of resin, then you've got Miserable's work in painting them, the shipping. You're looking at probably you could have afforded a Kraken in game.
So no, but no, I don't know. That's just like. I don't think Darren even knows how much was doing it because he's also got other prints and other parts are gone. He only worked on some parts of it and things like that, so it could have been more. I just don't know, to be honest. But I think there's going to be. I think the aim is probably not to do it to scale because obviously once you start getting even the cutlass, in my opinion, is too big. Like if you want like a tabletop model, the cutlass being this big. I don't think so many people are going to buy that. So I think when you buy like collector's edition games, they tend to be about 9 to 10 inches. I think the little figures and things you get in them. So it's possible.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I remember we were talking about that on one of the podcasts I was on, where Disco Lando, who's a big collector of like Star Wars minis and Star Trek minis, and he says they tend to make the collectible miniatures all to the same size. They try to get all the miniatures to take up the same shelf space. So like the shuttlecraft for the Enterprise is the same, is a different scale, but it takes up it has the same footprint on the shelf as say the entire Enterprise itself. That way you could just kind of put them all up on the shelf. Instead of trying to keep them all true to scale, where you have a tiny little shuttlecraft next to a massive, Enterprise, they all take up the same space on the shelf.
Which is what you saw. That's what you saw in CitizenCon with the Kraken. It's like the size of everything and everything else. So
it's the size of a goddamn pool table.
What's happening with that now? Where's that? Is that going to the Texas studio? Austin
so,
studio?
I believe the Dragonfly is going to one studio, and I don't know what's happening with the Kraken model. I think they are, and I don't know. Someone said some of the diorama stuff's going to Chris Roberts' office or something. So. Who knows?
Are they
going
to start hosting? Are they going to start hosting Around the Verse from the deck of the Kraken?
From the Kraken, yeah.
They're
going to replace. They're going to replace the table with the Kraken.
Well, if Jared had anything to say about it, I'm sure he'll try.
They could have it as the stand underneath, and then just put like a piece of glass over the top, so you got a smooth table. But just have it as the holder for it.
Oh, sorry, Rachel. That's just a new coffee table.
Yep.
I don't know where you'd stick the bloody Dragonfly. I don't know, but
I can think of a few places.
I'll make room for it. Don't worry. So a few more years, and that'll actually be hovering, and we can take it for a ride. So it's all good. So yeah, that was a little tangent, but that's what I've been working on for the last few weeks. I've also I kind of recorded my process and what I was doing. It's quite sporadic because I was stressed and I was like painting things, and then my head's getting in the way of the camera, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, stop recording. I just need to get on and paint this. So I'm going to try and I've got, I think, the Dragonfly from cutting the model up to painting it, and I think I've got the Forklift from scratch to painting it, and some other things, and I did some airbrushing. So that was the other thing. I had to airbrush the Cutlass and the two Buccaneers. I've never used one before in my life. I've never even owned one. I've never used one. Next thing you know, this airbrush comes in the mail, and it's like, here's a weekend, learn how to use this, then paint the Cutlass and the Buccaneers and everything with it. So that was interesting. Crash course on how to paint. Yeah, well, I don't think Joe would have been quite so.
You should update your resume, or what do you call it, your CV? Is that what you Brits call it?
Curriculum vitae.
Yes.
So, in terms of time, it took me more than 200 hours, I would say. So yeah, it was quite a while. I didn't document everything that I did. So and there was a lot of like getting the Cutlass fixed together, and then because of some reason there was a slight problem with the printer, and it kind of warped as it dried or something. So we had to kind of fill in the gaps and everything else. So that took me time to do that, and yeah, so it was quite a long project. But it was good fun, and I'm glad. And hopefully, I'll get to do some more for maybe next year's or something. It would be really cool.
Yeah, I bet you can't wait.
give me maybe like a little bit of time to recover from this one first. Yeah, maybe learn how to use an airbrush. We
got two big ones coming up next year. We got CitizenCon, whatever's coming in December.
Oh,
yeah. So why not? Let's go with that since you brought it up.
Excellent segue.
Little segue out of getting away from the painting to this, and I don't know if any of you in chat know Batgirl. She used to do chats with and interviews with the devs, and she did Ben's Day, which was that every week or every fortnight? Where she
I think it was every fortnight, was it?
I thought it was every Wednesday, but they could have changed over the years.
Yeah.
Well, that does make
so
sense.
she would like talk to Ben, and then they would talk about like what's coming up and things like that in it. So she basically released a video. She was volunteering at CitizenCon, and she released a video on YouTube afterwards that basically said that she was walking Sandy Gardner from the interview tables or whatever to the toilets, because it's just to stop her getting hassled and things. And a backer came up to her and said, "Oh, when is CitizenCon next year?" And she said, "Well, it's going to be the same time. We try to always have CitizenCon released around about the 10th of October, depending on where it falls." And then she said, "And then there'll be another one in December for Squadron 42." And it was like, really? And I think Batgirl kind of said to her, "Are you sure you should be saying this?" And she goes, "Oh, yeah, it's fine. It's fine." And I'm not sure she should have been saying this, but yeah. So it looks like, if Sandy's correct,
unsubstantiated, unconfirmed rumors.
Yeah, I mean, this is secondhand from Batgirl. She could be just lying through her teeth, which is unlikely, but...
a content creator lying, or a content creator exaggerating or stretching the truth for views or something like that. Who'd have thought? But I assume this is a rumor, or maybe, and they've had developers and other personnel, high level personnel, say stuff, and then it changes. We've had stuff like that happen.
Sandy has said the CitizenCon, I think a year ago, said it was going to be in the UK next time. And we all know it is. I mean, the CitizenCon thing isn't really a new thing because we kind of it is the same time every year. And I don't think in the chat that she confirmed that it was going to be in the UK. But the Squadron 42 thing, it's new.
Don't put much stock in the Squadron 42 thing, but it does set in with a lot of people's internal clocks with this. If you go look at the production schedule right now, you end up seeing a lot of stuff. And even going off what they presented at CitizenCon, you start seeing a lot of stuff that would be very useful in Squadron 42. Some of the cloth tech, the hair tech they were talking about, the NPC stuff, subsumption would be very useful. Flight tech, the flight factor. You got to get that space combat fun working in order for us, because Squadron 42 is going to be all about that. Yeah, you got to have those NPCs working because Squadron 42 is a single player game. It's the NPCs that are going to be building a lot of the content for the player. So the idea of Squadron 42 12, 18, 24 months out fits in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, they just needed to get the object. That was like the biggest holdup, wasn't it? It was OCS, and now that's in. As Chris says, they can now full steam ahead get it done, and like the characters are swapping over. A lot of it is, like you say, getting the flight tech in, getting stuff, and just sort of layering it or swapping it out with the old tech. But I can see it falling. I mean, logically, it makes sense at that time of year as well to hit the sales, whether it's a release
time.
Yeah, whether it's a release event or if it's we're now finished, we're going to release it next year at this time, or if it's we don't know, but it's definitely logical that it would come out at that time, and it looks pretty ready.
My projection for Squadron 42 is Chris is most likely wanting a 2019 Christmas release, if not early first quarter or second quarter release. So my guess, whatever the second thing is after CitizenCon they do, is probably going to be a very significant marketing push for Squadron 42.
Yeah, and I think they will push it like they would a normal game. Yeah, like a big AAA title. Like Star Citizen's an MMO, so that'll trickle out rather than be a full big launch. Whereas Star Citizen is a single player campaign, AAA title, like Red Dead, for example. They'll do the traditional methods. Am I hearing voices? No. And they'll just push it out, and it'll be this big old sale. And I think if it does come next year, that's when we'll see the biggest insurge of backers, because that will then solidify the CIG as a company, Star Citizen as a game, and the quality of what it can be. And I really hope it's the case.
I definitely agree that if they do Squadron 42 release properly, and we have to really put that caveat, we got to put that hook in there. You got to get a good release out of that. It can't be none of this PTU bullshit we got right now. It's got to work, Chris. It's got to work. But if they get that release right, that's going to lend a massive amount of legitimacy towards Squadron towards Star Citizen as a whole project.
Yeah, and it'll take away this bullshit of it being fake scam money thing. It'll take all that information away, and it'll just be worth it. Thanks for joining us, Miserable.
I think we was talking a bit about that I was listening all the time. We was talking about that on your stream, wasn't we? Like it's hard. I mean, people will always call it a scam regardless. But I mean, once they've released Squadron 42, it's very difficult to say it's a scam when you actually have a game you can go and buy and play.
It's a scam.
It's a scam, but you can play it.
Fully released.
You could buy this. You could play it. Here's Let's Plays on YouTube. Here's streamers.
This scam is amazing.
Here's people talking about it on Twitch.
Best scam ever.
Best scam ever.
He's waiting until you get the sort of 1 billion mark of crowdfunding, and then he's going to walk away and be like, "Ha,
yeah." He's going to leave release the game, release Star Citizen, and then he's going to walk away with the money.
Yeah, and then it's like, I had that planned all the time.
Look at this. I released 2 games into the market, and I walked away with all the money. Do it like George Lucas did. Make like 6 movies, and then walk away with the royalties for the toys.
Yeah, I mean, that was a scam.
Yeah, it's the best scam. Sell it for $1 billion to Disney. Said walk away with the licensing for the toys.
Jeez.
And the T-shirts, all the merchandising.
But yeah, I mean, like, so what you was talking about, but I think for Squadron 42, I think the AI and the flight mechanics are probably the two key things really left that they need to nail. That you can't get away with releasing it without getting those two.
No, flight mechanics
really.
is like top priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you say, the game is pretty much, and originally the Squadron 42 campaign anyway was going to be maybe like 80% flight, 20% on foot. Now it's probably balancing a bit better, but still, it is a flight game. It's part and parcel of it. So that needs to be. And what we saw, I know we'll probably talk about it later, but what we saw was just blew me away. Really did.
Did you see someone recut the Squadron 42 trailer to more anime style? I don't know if anyone cares about that, but I thought it was pretty impressive recut.
I haven't seen.
I want to see him do it to like a Disney, like like how they take trailers of like Mrs. Doubtfire and make it into a horror film.
Horror film.
Yeah. Oh, my days. But I want to see someone take the Squadron 42 trailer and make it into like a Disney sort of style film with the Vandal. I don't know how they're gonna. It's just impossible. But those Vandal look.
I was just about to say that.
Scary as fuck.
We got the picture of the old Vandal versus the new ones.
So much better.
By one of the developers.
This is what it was like before, and this is it's not a great picture. But yeah,
it's that sort of idea of coming across them in like if you just go into a space station and it's derelict and you're on your own, and you're like, oh well, hopefully I can salvage some stuff here, and then you hear like Vandal in the background, and you turn a corner and one stood there, and you're kind of.
Kill it with fire. Just I'm not even stopping. I'm not even with them. Like it's not. Yeah, it's not even a first contact scenario. This is a shoot first, ask later.
Yeah. Can we
negotiate? Excuse me, are you a friend? It's like all the like stuff dripping off of it.
Doing this.
Like, I mean, I thought they were pretty cool before. I thought they'd done a good job with the artwork before, but these new ones were just amazing, and the armor as well. Like when you see them fully armored and shit, it's like fuck.
That was part of the shader stuff they were doing on CitizenCon. They actually showed off the ability to have different materials have different shaders and whatnot, and they showed off some Vandal armor, and it looked amazing. Here's the tech off, here's the tech on, and you can actually see the difference.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was super impressed with that. Yeah, well done on that. That was so that was one of the things that they kind of showed off, and to me, a huge improvement. And like you weren't expecting it as well. He wasn't expecting really that amount of change on the Vandal. And we got a good, because like mostly we've only seen very slight snippets of the Vandal up until then, so it was pretty cool to be able to see them a little bit better than we'd seen before. The other thing that someone posted, which I thought was pretty cool, which just kind of shows off how well the face tech has got now, and basically listed all the celebs and then their picture next to them, or their character next to them, which I just thought was a really cool picture just to show you. And I mean, they all look like they're supposed to look. You can tell who they all are from their characters. I had to look
up what's his name. If you scroll down a little bit,
not Strong.
Not Strong. It was what's his name? He did the Hitman one.
Craig Fairbrass.
No? The big guy.
Gary Oldman. I actually had to go. I saw them do the redo of Gary Oldman, and like that's not fucking Gary Oldman. Then I had to go look up his more modern picture. I'm like, oh, he's aged a bit.
Yeah, they've aged it as the character. So every time some bloody actor gets older and looks older, it's like shit. Now we got to go and update the one in game to match.
Mark Hamill, didn't someone on Twitter say, I didn't know you were in a new film or something like that? They thought it was a film, not a game.
Yeah, I saw it all on Facebook. They basically thought that Squadron 42 trailer was a trailer for a new film that Mark Hamill was in, which I thought was awesome. It's like, oh wow, have you seen this? I thought it was going to be a Netflix series, I think, was what people thought it was.
That's it, yeah.
A new Netflix series coming, which, I mean, if that doesn't shout amazing wonders to CIG and the level of detail they've got. I don't know what does.
Amazing.
It's They all look amazing.
That whole
if I'm honest, they all
with
do.
him, incredible. And this is again when they have such big names lending their hand to a scam. Clearly, that says it all. People are going to be like, "Oh wow, I didn't know these guys were actually part of this." It's definitely.
And you've got I just saw a tweet this evening that said that. was it Mark Hamill tweeted out basically saying working with Chris Roberts was a dream, and one of his dreams, and he's glad that he got to do it. So it's like, yeah, this is such a scam, such a scam. So yeah, it's I just really impressed with that, and I liked that someone had gone and compared them all. And it's just, yeah, I mean, that was one of the presentations there, which was the face tech, facial animations and everything else for the game, and they had like a whole panel thing on that. So we can talk about that a little bit if you want.
The average Joe. I just hope everyone. I dread that a lot of people are going to be like, I can't be bothered to randomize. I'm just going to be the average Joe, and then we have
everybody
like 10
rolls the
average
average
to 1,000 average Joes. But then someone did say maybe CIG could implement some sort of auto randomize, so that you get a character that's just already auto randomized, and if they want to adjust it, they can. If they don't, that's fine. Rather than being default.
This brings back an interesting. Let's go back to the past. We just finished out Fallout on my stream, and the very first Fallout, you had the ability to customize your character thoroughly, just like Dungeons and Dragons. You can get a character sheet you can mess with, but you could the default character name was none, because you were supposed to click on it and fill it in. But you could complete a character, take it into the wasteland, without having to fill out the name, and your character would be named None. Everybody would address you as the name None. Everybody address you as None. Hello, Sir None. How are you doing today? Farewell, Sir None.
Nice.
And that was actually, I think they addressed that in the the user manual for Fallout 2, because there was a throwaway line in the user manual for Fallout 2. It was like, you don't want to go into everyone address you as None, right? Fill out your character name. But I imagine something like that. People are just going to create a character just the default face. I would hope they would have, at least for your second character, second, third, fourth character down the line, you'd have to have you can't take that nose. You're already taking that nose. You can't have that nose again. You can't have those eyes.
But the interesting thing with that is the fact that it all works like a gene technology. Like they would be able to make, they would probably, maybe your new character could be restricted because it's meant to be a relative of within parameters of your the genes from your parents before.
Oh, they actually had someone on Reddit posted a workup of the UI for the character creator, where you actually had genealogy. You had, here's your mother's face, here's your dad's face, here's your grandfather, grandmother, and then you can kind of manipulate within a certain. Yeah. It looked like you could manipulate the faces within a certain limit, though. Like you couldn't change too much off from your parents. I'm assuming that's how it's going to work with like Death of a Spaceman. When your main character dies, you're going to have, well, here's your last character, and here's what you set your mother up as. So therefore, you have these limits for your new character, but you can't take these exact settings anymore.
Yeah,
because
like
you
limitations.
have your face has a DNA. Believe it or not, they covered that in one of the I think the main stage. They covered that where your character had like hexadecimal numbers for chromosomes, and each of those numbers controlled like the shape of your nose, your cheeks, your head. And like I was surprised at how varied the head shape can get. Normally I'm everyone's used to like the Fallout 3, 4 head creator. We have sliders for just your eyes. Dark Souls had the same thing. And I think what other character customizer I recommend? Skyrim had that too. But no, they're going to let you dramatically change the shape of your head, the cheeks, your cheek, your chin. And they're going to make they're actually going to make the helmets and whatnot fit your face, custom fit.
They haven't released the video for this, so I can't show it off yet, which is that we could maybe leave this to another one. But when I saw that presentation, I was just like, that one I was blown away. I mean, I wasn't listening to too much of what they were saying because I think I was in the chat rooms and people were talking. But oh wow, it was amazing. Like you said, the way that they managed to make, they had problems with it mapping the head, and then they worked out a solution to solve that. It was a really interesting talk on that one, and the fact that it's funny when they got the glasses and then that started warping with the eyebrows and stuff, so they had to make something solid and something.
It's easier to do when you have like just like a hat with elastic band in it. Like you change the shape of the head and the hat just naturally deforms. But when you have like a rigid, like a pair of sunglasses on the character's face, and you start have to just deform the hard rigid parts, it doesn't look right.
They must have been like, yes, I've done it. Oh, what about solid fucking
shit?
But
what wearing sunglasses.
The best thing about it all was the fact that Ivo Herzog sound like some crazed Nazi trying to create the Aryan race. He was like, and then we take the gene pool.
Oh God,
and it's like, whoa, this could be taken so badly out of
eugenics. Like he's talking about eugenics and whatnot, and I'm just like,
take the DNA of a human and we
wipe out all the ugly fuckers.
It's like, oh my God, we need to take 50 more heads. What? Whoa. let's just keep this PC, please. But no, honestly, like you say about the whole head warping thing, they were saying we don't want it to just be they were saying how limiting it is just to be able to change the eyes, nose, mouth.
Yeah, this goes back to Chris Roberts wanting to push the bounds of of PC gaming. He's like, we've seen the stuff in Skyrim. They just let you change the eyes, the nose, the mouth, some of this other little stuff around here, but they don't let you change the shape of the head all that much. They don't let you have like a big lumpy face over here where you got like tumors and shit growing off half your face, and then you put a hat on and it goes over your fucking tumor or whatever the fuck.
Well, I mean, so there are some games that allow you to change, like I think Ark and Black Desert Online, but the thing is the character heads look nothing like a face. By the time you've changed it and made it up, you just look at them and think they're freaking ugly. And what was so amazing with this is that I loved it when they were just showing the video and the bloke was like talking and it would just morph from one face to the other as it changed its genes, and it just seamlessly, like you were talking one way and as he just looked it would be a different face. And it's so easy, and every single face looked realistic. Like it was just amazing how realistic it looked.
There's so many little things to it, like the fact that one of them was at a certain distance. Obviously, if the head size didn't change, they just looked the same. So they wanted to make sure that people had that so you could recognize a friend or an actual character at a distance. There's just so much to this tech that, like, being able to put a performance from an actor onto any head, and also adding any head to a performance. Well. It's just, and they always do this. They create something that is even better than what the current standard is, and it's more optimized than the current standard, and so it runs better. And it just, I don't know how they do it. They are literally crazed Germans in a lab.
It just said, he goes, we got to a point where it's like, we don't know what to do. It doesn't work. And then he goes, then someone comes in the next day and goes, I've got it. You just changed this. And they're like, oh yeah, shit, it works. Oh wow, that's brilliant. But that's what I liked with the panel side of this CitizenCon, because it is stuff like that shows you that when you sit there and go, well, what have they been doing? What have they been doing? It's like, this is what they've been doing. This is what they're working on. And it's fucking mind-blowing. So I tell you what, we won't go too deeply into this because we'll maybe do it, because we've got so much of CitizenCon to talk about. Maybe we'll do it more next week when the video is probably released. So
if you want to show the picture real quick, I do have in the general for the Asylum.
Okay.
If you want to look at the picture real quick. From the newsletter. That is from a sneak peek for CitizenCon newsletter.
That's likely to be our UI, isn't it? Of choosing your parents, is it? You think grandparents? Okay. And so this is, because they did say one of the things that's holding up getting it done or giving it to the players is getting the UI so that we can have it rather than using their in-engine tool stuff.
To drag it all. Yeah,
you sort of fit that to scale. Because there's two of the faces on either side, so you got like mother and father.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe grandmother, grandfather, and that is, like you say, limiting potentially the choices.
Yeah,
but it's so amazing stuff. It's not stuff that I'd expect ever to see.
Yeah.
The thing is, for me, in a lot of games that I play, the animation, I mean, I studied animation a bit at university. It was something I was going to go into, but it's like, so I'm more interested in this. But it's like when you see other games and the faces just look dead. They don't animate properly. They don't look right. And then you see these, and it's just like when they did that thing, like you said, the one-person actor's mocap can be planted onto all these different faces. That was just like mind-blowing. It's like, that is just so fucking amazing. It doesn't matter what head they put on it. It still so they all said the same speech, and it was just like absolutely.
And also going over to some of the scenes, and I believe they talked about this in CitizenCon as well. But getting the NPCs, the actor NPCs, that are giving their performance, to actually track the character around the room, and including some extreme. Like they had the character down like the size of a mouse on the floor, and the character everybody in the room was looking at the character.
That was quite intimidating.
I looked down at you.
And then they had it like the character's camera was like a spider in the corner of the room, and everybody was looking at the camera too. And so that just getting the actors to be able to give their performances, and then track the character, even with their eyes, even using the eyes, the NPCs to track, because you realize that you notice when someone is talking at you and not looking at you.
That's why a lot of these games feel wrong. That's why a lot of the games feel wrong, because the eyes, and you see some of the earlier videos they show, and the NPCs talking to you, and they're like, and they're not looking at you and that. Yeah. So it's I think, I don't know if it was last week or something, or maybe it was during the presentation, was talking about it, and how a lot of characters have like dead eye. They just look like dead, and it's because when you walk in a room, you don't just look straight at where you're going. You look around. You eye what's going on there. Even when you're talking to someone, you don't 100% stare at them in the eyes. You might look to the side, or you might look around.
It's subtle details, isn't it, that really bring the characters to life.
Well, I think it's those that you don't necessarily think about, but when it's not in, it doesn't look.
You
right.
notice,
yeah, and that's what's weird.
Well, I noticed that in the presentation during the or when they were talking to Clovis Darnley, was it? He wasn't looking at the character. He wasn't looking at the player. Like he was looking behind he was looking off somewhere over here. And the character's over here, and it's just like I noticed that real quick.
Yeah, everyone kept saying, "Well, what's he looking at?" I mean, the voice on it, the animation on it, the coughing, everything, it all felt quite real, but ruined just literally because he's kind of like going, "Oh, so what do you want to do today?"
Something that I found really interesting was this whole DNA thing. You know, they have like 48 variables that you can mess with, and if you think, like for example, if you have 9 head types, 9 hairstyles, that's kind of like 36 variables. This whole 48 different variables means, like they said, they can create millions, tens of millions of characters that all are different and unique, which is something you don't generally see. Usually they have like a select amount that they change. So all the NPCs will technically be not completely different. Some will look quite similar, I'm sure, but they'll all have different aspects that they use the same system the same tech that we're going to use to create our character to generate the NPC population. And again, it's like a procedural sort of tool where I'm sure they can just tap a button, randomize. There we go, another one, randomize. It's literally like churning out humans into Hurston. Hurston sounds like the sort of place that would churn out humans. but I mean, again, will speed up the development.
Yeah, I mean, he did say that, I think a while back, that that's very important, and that you don't keep bumping into an NPC that looks the same. And to be honest, like with that technology and the world being so big, you could have 2 NPCs that look very similar, but they could be so far away that you wouldn't notice that they look like the same. The chances of you sitting there going, "Hang on, I've seen you before," it's like, it's probably going to be very slim.
Mud crabs, they're terrible things, aren't they? I call it the Skyrim syndrome. They got 4 voice actors, and they use them for all the NPCs.
Yep. Have you been seeing Red Dead's? Now we digress. The Red Dead character thing. They've actually hired like 1,200 characters. So basically, every AI in Red Dead Redemption is different. They've recorded like 80 pages worth of voice for each AI as well. So every character in Red Dead is going to be a completely different person, different voice, different script. Rather than
and different quality of recording.
It
sounds like someone's recording in a shoebox.
Sending it in their cell phone.
Read the script for me. Oh my god, what are you doing here? Shit, now I've broken them.
Oh no, he's definitely going to have to buy a new one.
So good, they're still going on. They're going on. I'm going to see how long they last. I said testament to Seal series.
Wow.
Yeah, don't worry, there's gonna be you're gonna have a channel goal. Pretty soon there's like a graphic show up on the bottom of his broadcast. New headset goal.
So yeah, I mean, Chris was so happy that he wanted to give everybody a huge hug at the presentation. But no, it's I mean the start of it was like, how come we haven't tested this? Don't we normally have tested getting everybody in a group beforehand? It's like, yeah, that would have been a good idea. But
probably should have muted the mic. Oops.
Yeah,
I did.
You always hear him whispering in the background.
Yeah, I know.
It was quite funny.
What did he say? It's so awkward.
I think it was like almost having an argument of like basically what's going on. Let me just put this back over here a second.
So quick piddle while you do it.
So I was going to basically we'll move on to a little bit to the keynote stuff, because we have actually got some things that we can show from that compared to some of the other videos that aren't quite out yet. So they started off with, we can kind of play it as we go. Let's get some. Yeah, it waited for a long time. So yeah, we had obviously the Easy Habs, or the new apartment blocks is one of the first things that they kind of showed off. It's nice. One of the key things that I kind of put out on here with the notes is that they said that we were going to there was like 100 apartments in each part of it, and the Hurston and the Lawville itself just looked absolutely massive.
Oh yeah,
I've complained a few
thousands of players.
Yeah,
Various. From my understanding, they're not going to have like like one apartment will hold like 50 players, and you'll have like two or three players coming out of the same door. You're gonna have an apartment for every player, and every apartment is gonna be a little bit different in purchasing because of where it's located. You can have one that has like, you know, a nice view of the spaceport that's going to be, you know, millions of credits per month, and you have one that's in the slums somewhere that's going to be like 10 credits a month or something.
Well, that's what that was quite a nice thing that I thought you said, in the fact that you'll be able to upgrade your hub, which I suppose we all presumed that you were going to be able to. But I like the fact that he was saying, you know, you'll be able to get different levels. Yeah, like you said, different costs of rent depending on how good you want it to be.
I want a shitty apartment. I don't want like a penthouse. I want the crappiest looking.
But you can. Like that's the beauty of it. You'll be able to stay if you want to. But also, I mean, everyone takes the piss because I've said before how like the places always look messy, and you know, what if I want a tidy place? But he actually confirmed that you will be able to. If you want it looking tidy, you can have it looking tidy. If you want all your beer bottles everywhere, you can have your beer bottles everywhere. And I thought what this coffee machine kind of thing showed off, which is something we kind of discussed before, which is where can we place things, and are they going to be stuck with these little blue buttons everywhere? And we said how we think it might work. And Chris then confirmed that no, you can stick anything anywhere you like. And I thought that was, for those that like to do that sort of thing, that was a huge announcement sort of thing. Like the fact that you'll be able to just decorate, you can pick up your cup and just dump it anywhere you like. You'll be able to decorate your room. If you've got posters or whatever, you'll be able to put them where you like. I think that's
grabby
pretty
hands,
cool.
Maybe. Remember they were talking about grabby hands? This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
At least we don't have that old use button.
Yeah. It took them a while to get rid of that.
Use.
I mean, some people were talking about how they like to have that back. They get kind of tired of using the inner thought. But you can see the way Chris Roberts wants you to have the ability to do very intricate things with, you know, when they were flipping the circuit boards around. I don't know if we're getting too far ahead, but you can move the coffee around, inspect the coffee.
Yeah, it was all part, wasn't it, for the whole, like, he wants missions to not just, like, the whole mission thing is not a case of, right, this is the location of this thing, you need to go here. Okay, there it is, because the marker told me. It's a case of, you could just find the blade, like, later on and put it in your pocket and be like, got it, it must be the prototype because I've got it now. But you didn't inspect it. And it is all about that finite detail. It's about not having your hand held and being able to do what you want.
Going back to Skyrim and how accessible it is, they have like a goddamn waypoint over it tells you exactly, go find this sword, and then it gives you a waypoint over the sword, and that waypoint's on the door to the next area the sword is in, and then you go through another door, the sword's behind.
Right, let me guess it through here.
Yeah, and then there's this slab, there's like this big stone table in the center of this big room, and it has a waypoint right on top of the sword that's on the table. That must be the sword
where I'm supposed to go.
Not this one. No. Okay, fucking there we go. Winner.
I'm just imagining like Indiana Jones in the the Search for the Holy Grail. It's just like you just have a waypoint over the correct Grail. When he walks in there. Oh, that must be the Grail I need.
It's like when you're looking for the savior. Oh, yeah, it's this one with the big arrow over his head.
When I saw we were going to get these sort of homes and things, and then they say, oh, they're all going to be physicalized. So obviously there's 100 in the first thing because they can only get 50 players in a server anyway. So it's pointless having more. In fact, it's pointless having 100.
Take some out.
So, like, the idea of getting those, and these are obviously styled to whatever they are, then you're going to get the other hubs, and the other hubs. I really want to see windows, though. Being able to look outside of your hub and see the world bustling around.
I want to be able to see windows, too. I want to be able to look in on people getting dressed.
Hello. You just see these ships, like, going up tower blocks going, oh, yeah, that's what...
Just park my Aurora right outside of some girl's apartment. Like,
female avatars are in...
They're coming soon.
When they're in, then the windows will be unshaded. But then they've shown the technology off, and they'll ruin our fun. You know they will, because CIG hates fun. So when the female things come in, we're going to have those windows that they showed you in the Phoenix, which is the one way glass, so they can look out, but we won't be able to look in. It's like
hopefully they'll understand that we're all nerds, and they'll put the one way glass the other way around.
Honey, why do we keep having to? Why are we getting all these bills for window cleaning? Well, there's fingerprints on the outside of the windows. I don't know how they keep getting there.
I wonder if that could be a job in the thing. It's just like sit there and clean windows all day.
I could be here all day long.
So I totally lost what I was talking about now. But
I'm sorry. It happens a lot.
There we go. So yeah. I can't remember.
Good job. Good fucking job.
Yep.
Hey, disposable hero.
There we go. We just might as well finish it now then. That's the end of the keynote.
Right, good night, everyone.
So, no, there was something I was going to talk about, but I can't remember. But so one of the next things that he talked about was about the inventory system and how we would we're going to only be able to eventually carry only be able to have in our inventory what we can carry, which the physicalized inventory, which is going to be a pain in the ass, but I mean, I understand it, and I suppose it needs it, but it does feel a bit like, this is going to be a pain in the ass to have.
They're not going to let you carry around the National Guard armory on your back. It's not going to be like the first Mass Effect. It's not going to be like, well, what sniper rifle do I want to use for this engagement? Oh, that's a rocket launcher. Oh, there's a machine gun. Oh,
hang on. I've got a pistol here somewhere.
I got something smaller here.
But for someone that's got, like, say, not me, but someone that's got, let's say, like 20 ships, what fucking ship did I leave my spacesuit on? I know it was on one of them. I just can't remember which one. And it's like, and then you go through all 20, and then you realise, no, I didn't leave it in there. I left it in my hab. Which hab? Which planet? Oh my god! Then it's which planet? You're gonna have to have an inventory for everything and write it all down, unless I can tell you where it is, but you can't access it. I suppose.
I was wondering about, like, I sort of, when I see these sort of demos, I go through them as if I was playing through it, and maybe playing through it with more friends, more different people and whatnot. And something I was thinking, so like if you have this, if you know you're going to go for a mission, you have like so many weapons in your hubs, because we've seen some of the hubs have like weapon racks. Whether you're allowed to walk through Hurston with a weapon on your back, I don't know. So basically, you have a weapon in your hub, but you can't then take it to your ship because you're not allowed to have it. So I'm expecting there'll be a way. They did say at the bottom of that habitation thing, there's that place where you can have deliveries and your admin office where you can receive deliveries and send things. So I'm thinking you go to there with a box that you've loaded with, I don't know, like a weapon, some ammo, your armor that you want to wear, and you go to the admin office and say, send this to my cutlass, and then that gets sent to your cutlass if that's available on that planet, or you have a link of what you can, a list of what ships you can put it into. That is kind of a cool idea, but still, it's going to be a real pain in the ass to try and think, right, so I'm going to do this mission, let me pack this into a box before I even start the mission, and then carry it to the post office, technically, and send it to your fucking cutlass. I don't know how they're going to do it.
And then if you have a really good night out and you go to someone else's easy hab, and then you you wake up the next morning and you're in some other building somewhere else, it's like, well, I was drunk, I can't remember. Where did I leave shit?
Before her husband comes back in, and then he's like, you lost your pants, and it's like you have to open your inventory. It's like, where the hell did I leave those pants?
And then you look to the window and he's like, he's angry.
Oh dear. So yeah, I presume there will be a kind of like, basically I presume they'll have where your inventory, so everything you own, although there's going to be like a massive list, but where you own, and then underneath like where it's located.
I got an idea. Mechanical trousers that walk themselves home after a night out.
So you can be asleep.
Yes,
Wallace and Gromit.
You could figure your trousers somewhere, and they'll come home.
Yeah,
without you.
Slams you through the door.
Wallace and Gromit have done it, so there's no reason why not.
But they were the wrong trousers, though, weren't they?
But we'll have the right ones, so it's all good. So I don't know how long you think it'll be before we get that sort of inventory, or whether you think it's kind of soon. He kind of made it sound like almost it'd be soon.
But it's on the roadmap. It's like 3.4 or something, 3.5.
Yeah, so pretty soon.
Personal inventories.
3.6 physical inventories, so Q2 2019. So I'm going to say around Q2 2019, Miz. I would sort of estimate.
Yeah. Possibly.
I like how you made the comment on the scene. He's like, he's making really crappy Irish coffee because he drank the coffee beforehand.
Coffee earlier.
Yeah.
It took me a little while
like
to work that one out.
Puts the sugar of the coffee in the hot water in his mouth and swirls it around.
Eat the tea bag afterwards.
Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Oh, he eats the tea bag. Oh, I remember
that. So yeah, we have a bartender. That's cool.
He's coming along. It's still a bit janky. Yeah. What would you like? Fucking hell, a real person would be nice.
A good choice. Well, we need Astropod behind there, really.
Yeah, Paul. Where's Paul? Paul was here last night.
But I mean, overall, it's definitely a lot of progress getting on. It's looking a lot better, which I thought was quite good. And then the gravity tech with the water, that's extremely important.
Yes,
You've got to have that.
So that way you don't have to tilt your glass that far back. When you're really slammed, you just have to kind of just lower your head down. You can just suck it out of the glass.
I'll tell you what, though, if you were completely wankered and you saw a glass on the table with the liquid like that,
yeah, you'd look at it.
You know you need to go home. You just.
Although we do need to work, we obviously they need to work on the rendering stuff. You know, not being able to have more than one ice cube per glass is just unacceptable.
Yeah, especially on the Phoenix. I want 3
if
ice
I have a
cubes,
glass
3
of
and a
wine,
half.
I don't want an ice cube in it.
I like how you can only get whiskey and beer, though. I wonder if that's going to be a thing in this place. Like, what? Can I have a gin and tonic, please?
No, you don't
Get
understand.
out.
There are no French or
get out.
English in the future. This is the future. This is the future. There's no French or English in the future.
I know.
So
One thing I was going to say was people were talking about they missed the use button. So I was going to say it would be nice, not necessarily to have the use button back, but maybe like a more common use thing. So that if you had like a drink on the table, the more common thing would be to drink it. So you just press the use button and it does the more common action. Same as when you get to doors, instead of having to think, oh, I want to open this door, the common action would be to open the door, and then you could use your inner thought to like lock it, close it, or whatever, and do other things. That would be a sort of slightly
like you said, the common action. Rather than like if you go to the bar and you just want to click drink and you accidentally click like throw, and you just sort of sit down and lob this glass of whiskey around.
I think what we need to do is we need to get the FaceWork technology to use the camera to determine the player's mood, and then we have an AI, a neural network that figures out the most likely cause that the character wants to have. So when they press that use button, like if you're really calm and relaxed, it drinks the whiskey, but if you're really upset, it throws the glass at somebody.
I like it. Yeah.
So I think we need to maybe intuitive using. So I think we need to delay Star Citizen another 10 years.
We need
so
to
we can have
upgrade the use button so it knows what you're thinking. I like that.
You need to be hired by CIG. I mean, this is the sort of thinking they go for.
You gotta think it.
We've got an idea. We need to
tell me that again.
Oh my god. Right, so I'm good. So yeah, we got drinking in the game now.
Yeah.
So then we have the mission giver, which was you can go and sell your scrap. So that was quite cool. So if you go and we can't actually get scrap yet, but we can sell it.
Yeah, I like to sell the scrap that I have not received yet. How much? 3,000, maybe 21 million.
Yeah.
No,
so,
it's gonna be like 50 quid.
Yeah.
You'll be able to go. They'll pay off that whiskey. You got that whiskey on layaway.
I like how you even said quid. I love that. You know how we talk.
You want to see? You want to hear my
quid.
Welsh accent again?
Oh god, no. Okay. Was that only last week?
Yeah, it was only last week.
Fucking hell, it feels like years ago, does it?
I know, it does a little bit. I thought the same. I was like, oh my god.
I almost forgot about it, Vertigo. Thanks.
We want to hear your Scottish accent now. I think you should do a different accent every time.
Scottish.
That's all I can say. I can only say the
He added Russian to the end.
Yeah, it was a bit.
From Scotland. Right.
Nicely
I've been told I'm not supposed to do accents on the show anymore.
There was a big warning, wasn't there, afterwards?
Yes,
so I missed the bit on the.
Next time you fucking think of that.
I missed a bit on the keynote speech, and even on that one, I don't remember saying about the plastic bag helmets. So does anyone want to like
everybody's walking
explain that a bit better?
Yeah,
like
the one of the new helmets they have is just like a really cheapo. It's like a plastic bag that's attached to like a helmet base, and just they pump air into it, so it kind of keeps it inflated.
We hope it's air.
Around. Yeah, we hope it's air. So could be anything. Could be methane. Could be cocaine.
The funny thing is, the first time I saw that, I thought like people like to cosplay. The first thing I thought was like, that's really not setting a good example. And all these kids are looking at it, and there's people like forever, like every fucking plastic bag you buy, it says keep away from children, do not put on your head. And then what do we have? We have Star Citizen with plastic bags.
Did you hear Chris?
Over your head. Yeah, and then he said it afterwards. He goes, "Oh yeah, don't cosplay this." I was like, "Yeah, there we go." Like,
when we go to the supermarket, we could be walking down like the eggs and milk aisle, and we'll be like.
Yeah, you go to the supermarket, there's an annoying kid over there. You look, hey kid, look,
Cosplay.
space helmet. Here you get a space helmet.
How long can I survive cosplaying with this plastic bag over my head?
But it's a good idea. I like the idea that, and I do hope that it affects our character, because they're talking about the player status system. So his health, his stamina, his the feeding and whatnot. So technically, if we are in a place like Hurston, will there be a slight diminishing of health or stamina if you do not wear this crazy plastic bag or a rebreather? And so you can actually walk out one day and it says the air is unsatisfactory, and so you think, right, well, for the sake of losing that 2 points of stamina, I don't know if you'd need it. Nice.
Well, touch. Yeah, they're gonna have hazardous areas of varying degrees, even for your character. Like certain moons and planets, you'll have radiation.
They did mention
Diseases
like
are gonna be a thing.
That people would react to you differently if you didn't shower and stuff. So do you think people will react to you differently if you have cheap helmets? If you go in with your plastic bag over your head rather than a decent spacesuit, they go, "Nah, I ain't talking to you. You're scum."
You go on Terror with this plastic bag on your head.
Plastic bag plus 10 thriftiness to your plus 10 to your thriftiness and minus 10 to your reputation.
And then they look down and see you've got Crocs on. I'm like, whoa, just
combat Crocs.
What are you wearing right now, miss?
There is nothing wrong with Crocs. In fact, someone did the FOIP video, and they said that's the first thing he asked when he walked into the room. He goes, "Well, where's the fucking space Crocs? Where's the space? I want space Crocs."
I tell you what, though, if Crocs got like jetpacks on them, I would buy a pair, definitely.
Little ankle packs, little ankle chuck packs.
Yeah.
That's how you get lifts. That's how you get
the only
lift
thing is, if you're going to
Crocs.
have jetpacks on your Crocs, make sure that you don't wear them with the heel flap forward, because the Crocs will just fly off. You have to engage the strap.
True. There'd be rogue Crocs flying around everywhere.
Rogue Crocs.
Get down!
May take someone's eye out.
Oh, just go.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Yeah, this just took another hour about Crocs and how they can take people's eyes out. It's cool.
Engage the Crocs.
Nice.
Wow, how did we not think of that?
Is there like a manufacturer that's even cheaper than Drake? Is probably like what was the Merlin's manufacturer? Kruger? They can try to make the Croc version of the fucking Kraken.
What is the Merlin manufacturer?
It's Kruger Intergalactic. They make guns.
One, yeah.
They literally made the Merlin so they can make guns
ships.
fly. They shouldn't make ships. They should make guns. As far as I'm concerned,
they should definitely make Crocs.
They just take a Merlin and put a big flat. They just take 100 Merlins and they like a sled, like a horse-drawn sled. They just have a bunch of Merlins attached to a bunch of ropes, pulling like a Bengal. Like, we found this Bengal just derelict in an asteroid field somewhere. We attached a bunch of Merlins to it. Release the Kraken.
Is that Chris again? Yeah, I've got another good idea.
We need space Crocs, and we need them at all different sizes. We need them different points, different power plants to them.
We also need and for the people that love feet, we need to have feet DNA, so you can have all sorts and shapes and sizes of feet, because there are guys out there and they're really weird. Trust me, the feet guys, like I don't get it. Some guys love feet.
Fetishes.
Yeah, the feet fetish. We need to be able to. Jeez.
We've got to tailor to the feet fetish people. Yeah, right.
Let's just move on.
DNA feet.
God damn it.
Oh my god. So I got my mum's feet and my dad's feet. It's just like they're just completely different. It's like fine. And then you can have web feet as well. If you grew up in Hurston, you might have webbed feet. I think that would be quite appropriate.
And then, of course, we're gonna have aliens, Xenos, so you can have just all sorts of weird stuff.
Xeno blade.
Yes, it's just a blade.
Yeah.
Oh no! The prosthetics too. You can design your own prosthetic feet as well.
Oh,
Why not?
yes, that'd be cool. Crocked prosthetics feet.
Croc
Can't even say
prosthetics. It's made out of rubber.
We need a safe word to get back on target.
So, you made a good point
let's use
though,
that.
like with the Hurston atmosphere, like so that you can walk around without your helmet. So it'd be nice to finally have a location where we can go around without a helmet on. Which does also mean that, like, because they all put their suit on and everything to go out, but that means that you could go out in your civ clothes, I presume. There's no reason why.
Are you
not.
saying naked? Yeah, no, you should be able to.
I wasn't saying naked, but
Naked parties in the trees.
Some people may want to do that. And you just fly. You imagine that's going to be like weird, though, isn't it? Like one of these planets, because people can be anywhere. You could just be flying along, and all of a sudden there's like a little coven of naked people, like a nudist gathering or something.
Crokens all
what the
dancing
fuck's
around in
going
their
on there?
nakedness.
You just like all worshipping Big Benny's machines or something. And he's just like, what the
You'd
fuck's
be like,
going on here?
yeah, I'll avoid that one.
Yeah, I'm not landing at that party, but yeah. So I think I quite look forward to being able to do that and not having to wear a spacesuit everywhere.
I think it does actually feel quite. I think that's part of why the game feels kind of restrictive at the moment, is because you know subliminally you're always wearing a helmet, so you're feeling like restricted to this sort of view. So when finally we do get to walk around without a helmet, we're gonna be like, we're free. And it will feel so much. Nice. Yeah. I can run around the mountains.
I've been playing. I've been playing 6 years with like struts on my helmet. Get rid of the struts. So,
like a cockpit on the face.
Exactly, like a face cockpit.
Face cockpit.
The face
I mean,
pit.
you go to those clubs, do you? SuperMac.
Occasionally. Crocs are welcome.
Like a cockpit to the face.
Like cockpit to the face. You want to see my whole C impression, Miz?
No, it's okay.
I can actually notice the points at which we start. Like once we've gone somewhere, every other subject then has to transition to the same place. Yeah, I can see it happening. I can feel it.
So I thought we saw some of the subsumption thing kind of working where he stood still in one of the places, and then the NPC was telling him to move on, which I thought was quite nice. To start recognizing that you're loitering where you're not supposed to.
It's because he stood right next to a guard like that. Anyone stands next to it, you're gonna be like,
no. If you go to Buckingham Palace, you can stand really close to the guard, and they just stand there doing that.
That's true. Yeah. Almost poke them, but don't actually touch them. But you can almost
don't actually poke them. Yeah.
What you gonna do?
So the FOIP thing was a bit disappointing in the fact that it wasn't
hilarious.
Working. And I don't think
that whole FOIP thing was hilarious. Man.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is I don't think Chris realised that it wasn't working in the build they were using, because he just kept going, have you not calibrated it right? And it's like, it's because he's wearing glass. Yeah. But when he said that, he must have thought I shouldn't have said that, because the whole point is that it was meant to work with glasses. Yeah. And it's
glasses,
like, is it because he's wearing glasses?
He was clutching for excuses quick, wasn't he? He was like, oh shit, something you have to come up with something here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, that wasn't the best thing to say.
No.
But yeah.
But I mean, it's a shame that it's not working in the current build. Same with FOIP. VoIP. That's the stuff that I was quite excited for. It didn't work. Fair enough. It's BTU. I'm sure they're beavering away at trying to get it working. But it was hilarious watching him walk through and being like, okay,
he's talking constantly.
Just have him shout across the stage. That's fine.
But the VoIP, the VoIP did kind of work. It was only the face thing, the animation that wasn't. Because when they were in the plane, in the ship in the back of the Valkyrie, he said, "Oh, have a chat," and they didn't for a little while. And then eventually he did, and it did actually come through. So that bit was working, but it's not working at the moment, which I don't know why. But yeah, that was working in that build. It's just that the face part wasn't working, which was a bit of a shame.
The face part, the
actual. Hello, everybody. The one that Faceware had been shouting about for ages.
Yeah. I love this part. Everybody forgets that you have to buy each piece individually, and they had to correct him. Like, no, you just bought the helmet.
No, he didn't though.
But I think that was they had it programmed so that he buys the helmet and he gets everything.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault because, like he said, because he didn't go back and buy it. It just refreshed and then it was there. Chris is like, no, you only bought the helmet. He's like, yeah, it's all right, Chris. I've got this.
Yeah.
And he's like,
We've run through this multiple times.
Yeah, just to let you know, you've only bought the helmet. But what he probably had is he probably already had the suit with him and just went in to buy the helmet. And so I think it was just like Chris was like, you only bought that, but no, I think it just didn't refresh because as soon as he opened it and closed it again,
I've had that bug before where sometimes you bring up my mobiGlass and nothing.
Well, you can see his undersuit's not even on, which he's obviously he wasn't walking around in his pants, so it was just a bug.
And then Chris was like, write that down, Todd. Make a note of this because it's a bug that we need. It's like, yeah, we've probably reported that multiple times.
If you've reported that, it's fine. But so are we the multi-tool. That was nice to actually seen it in action. Now we're going to be able to use it.
Can't wait. Oh, in PTU, you actually have a slot for the multi-tool on your character, so some sort of utility item.
Start lasering people. Is that Can you feel it? What? FOIP isn't working.
Wait, I can't wait to start lasering people, people lasering me. You know, one of the bugs I wish they never touched, at least until after Halloween had passed, was FOIP works while you're dead.
Oh, really?
There was that. That was in one of the patch notes. Like they made it so FOIP doesn't work on dead people. I was like, damn it! They could have kept that for extra spookiness.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Maybe a Halloween patch will come in and they'll do it like the fish in the hangers.
But your face just keeps moving by itself. That's what they could do. You're not even talking, and your face just randomly keeps deforming all the time. But there's a thing on the hammerhead because like people keep spawning the hammerhead, and now they're taking the ships away. I keep still trying to get in one, and if you fly into the front, there's a door at the top, like at the very front of the hammerhead, and if you crash onto the bit just above the door, so you go in EVA. And every time you face plant onto it, your body just like melts, like your arms start slipping all over the place, like every time. So you can literally, and then you start sinking through the hammerhead. So that's how I try and get in people's ships at the moment. So you just face palm into the front, and then you sink in. But yeah, your arms and your limbs and everything kind of get left behind. You kind of reset when you go
airlock and looking at that, and then they're like, "I'm almost there." It's just this fucking slobbery person all over the place.
I'm coming through. But yeah,
shut the airlock quick! Trap him.
So what did you guys think of Lawville?
Too dusty.
No, I loved it. I think it's they've captured that Blade Runner-esque really well. The music as well, I think, helped. But the sand everywhere, the junk everywhere, the fact it felt like you were choking to a point, and the security being very
grungy.
Like, I'm going to kill you. Like this, although it was a bit glitchy, but this moment where, obviously this is out of sync, I'm expecting, but where he sort of shouts at you and tells you to get away, but everything just felt good. It felt like it fitted, and I can't wait to see the variation, because they did say it's not, like most games you go to one place, it feels very similar to the next place. This is going to be, they're all going to be like kind of unique. Slightly unique, does that work?
Slightly unique. Yeah, you could be slightly unique.
Yeah. It does need a lot more NPCs, though, yeah.
It does, but I do...
brought up the transit time. Having to go get your stuff, go to the train, and then ride the train to your starship, and then come back and ride the train some more.
Maybe people are slowly starting to realise that Star Citizen is going to be a slow game. It's not going to be an all bang straight into the action as soon as you get up, unless you sleep in space in your ship, and then you're a bit closer to everything.
Yeah, but, I mean, they have something for everyone.
Yeah,
they have the fast-paced action if you want the dogfighting FPS sort of stuff, or if you want to take the day to chill, you can just ride a tram around Lawville. You know, there's the option is there for everyone to do what they want. The trouble is, if you want instant action, you might have to sort of sit there on a tram and you're just dying to kill something and finally get your ship, and then you're like, I'm in an armistice zone. Let's go. And then by that time, you're like, I can't be bothered anymore. I've got to go to work.
Well, they're going to take armistice zones out, so you can replay
that's true.
A terrorist. One of these days. You're itching to kill somebody in a tram, just pull your gun out and just start doing it. And then you have to live with the consequences.
Yeah, all them consequences. Well, that's going to be the key thing, is what consequences you're going to end up having on this, like to stop people doing that. But I thought, although, like, I mean, there was obviously a lot of glitching between the NPCs and things, but I still felt like it felt much more alive than a lot of the places we've seen so far.
It has character.
Yeah.
Which most places at the moment don't too much.
Like, I think Christian said earlier, like, the plastic helmets, when you first see them, you're like, what the fuck? And then actually, yeah, it fits. It fits with the people there. It fits with, like, also if you haven't got, you're working, it's a quick thing that you can kind of stick over your head and go out with. And it just, I don't know, it felt a lot better. Like, obviously, I wonder if they're going to, like, the pollution will wane. So, like, some days, because it says, today the air quality is good. Like, will that change? Yeah. Do you think sometimes the air quality might be crap, or it might be better?
Yeah, I think it will constantly adjust depending on, like, maybe if they have a storm coming, maybe there'll be like toxic storms coming over that everyone is sort of warned not to go outside. If you do, you have to have a certain grade thing on. I think that all that sort of stuff would help. But definitely 120 meters a second, as Christian said, for the trams, does actually feel like a good speed. When I first heard that, I thought that's just way too quick. You're not going to see anything, but the size of like they said, it was the size of Austin.
Yeah, when I got it in the notes, it's like, yeah, the whole thing is like the equivalent of the size of Austin. It's like, fuck, that's big.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to see it happening, which was a bit of a shame. But like you said, you see other ships coming and landing, and then like when he's flying over with the Mustang, it's like you could see the train track, like the tram track, going all the way around it. It would have been cool to kind of seen it. Going across, but it was so weird. But this felt like it belonged in the game, and I was actually excited. I know a lot of people were excited to see the tram. I mean, we had talked about it. I don't know if it's last podcast or on your stream, Mac, but we was like, oh yeah, tram. We're really excited for this. But no, generally, we're really excited for the tram.
One of my favorite moments.
It's wrong, but we are. That's all there is to it.
Are you train watching?
We're train spotting. When we came out of that underground section and you suddenly saw the daylight and you could see all the things, that felt like you were in an actual train. And it was like, whoa, this place is big. And you can see the sort of the Hairston building in the background. Yeah. The docks,
cargo yard.
the Tisa spaceport, all these, like they have districts which feel like you're actually traveling to the districts. The districts feel unique to what they're supposed to be. And that, they've captured it just perfectly. I'm blown away by.
Because on top of that, we have
Lorville alone.
Yeah, Lorville alone is, and I think I've got it somewhere. Yeah, we've got the before and after shot, so I'll see if I can put that on. It's not that great a picture, but it's just it does show you that they've kind of changed the scale as well. So like they've actually made that central building much bigger. You can see, but
high, isn't it?
We see when he flies under with the Mustang. It's like when he goes past it. It's massive, absolutely massive, and that it's really hard. Like I said, this a bit like when I said about painting the models and stuff. But like the sense of scale, it really is hard to get that sense of scale, especially when you start flying over it and everything's kind of small. But then when if you actually look closely as it's flying over, they're all like individual skyscrapers. They're not just little buildings; they're big, tall skyscrapers underneath that arch. They're absolutely massive. So and you could technically walk around all of those and have a look through them. So it's I'd look through every single window to see if women are getting changed. So yeah, it's you're going to be there a long time, Vertigo, trying to do your peeping Tom act. I know there's going to be a woman in one of these. It's just which building is it?
Peeping Ms. act.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, that's not the best picture that someone put up, but it does show you already like the dust. It is more dusty, that's for sure. Like I said, it'd be interesting to see how much they change that, like whether it can change on a day depending on the weather and things like that.
Weather's something that this whole demo that they showed. Can you imagine doing the whole thing at night, or in a rainstorm, or a sandstorm, or whatever?
Weather's coming.
It's going to be really cool, is that?
So yeah, let's get back onto that playing. That sort of thing, to me, I really liked Lorville. I thought it looked really good. Can't wait to get there. Like I said, I can't wait to kind of go around with without the helmet on constantly as well. Would be quite nice. And
see, I never considered actually, like when you think about where would I buy an apartment, and I always thought Microtech. After seeing this, even though it's a dingy, sort of toxic, polluted place, I could quite happily own an apartment there and live there semi-permanently, and just like at first I was like, there's no way I'm going to live there. It sounds awful. But seeing it like this, I want to experience that on a day-to-day basis, as in getting up, going to, do a mission, coming back, spending your cash and whatnot. Like they've said before, is you may not want to even travel off-world for a lot of times. Like the idea that you can spend a good duration on one planet, do loads of missions, see loads of things, have a base there and spend a good sort of, I don't know, so many X amount of hours in one planet, and then think, oh, let's go to ArcCore. And then you remember that there's 4 planets in this system and that's one of 100. It's just the scale is beyond belief in this game.
Yeah, and Chris Roberts said a long time ago, he said the travel time is going to pay out, and there's going to be a payout to the point where there's going to be enough content to where when you travel, when you spend all these minutes traveling, there's going to be enough content there when you get there to make it worth the travel time.
Yeah. And you will.
Like you said, it's crazy because even within your own planet, like if you could literally, like you just said, go in Lorville, get a mission, you wouldn't need to leave the planet, but you can still get in your ship, fly over to another part of Lorville, another part of Hurston, and do your missions without even leaving atmosphere. And the fact that you would actually still need a spaceship to go that far. I know they're going to have the trams doing certain things, but yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Like the scale is just immense.
And this is one landing location on Hurston. The idea was originally to have one landing location on each planet, but now they realise that these planets are so big, it doesn't make any sense. So like ArcCore will have Area 18, then it'll have like 19, 21, and so on and so forth. Hurston will get more landing zones. Lorville is obviously is like the main one, but there will be other ones. So this is just one landing zone on one planet.
And they said the outposts we have now are just that. They're outposts. They're like the smallest.
Yeah.
Like Shubin Mining on Daymar is like the smallest outpost that they care to consider for any moon or planet or whatever. We're going to have medium and large size outposts, and then we're going to have like heroic locations like Lorville, which are going to be fleshed out very significantly. But you're still going to have that subsumption AI. You're still going to have some of that mission stuff. It may just be you walk up to a bulletin board, a screen, up on the wall, and you scroll through some missions like, I'll take that one. You won't have someone just giving you a mission at one of these outposts.
Yeah, you can pick and choose what you want to do. You can even just go off rogue and go mining somewhere around the place and then go and sell it to the nearest location. But also the outposts are not always going to look like they look like now. That's the only aesthetic that they have created for this procedural asset tools of construction. There'll be different styles, different variations. They'll keep adding them into the database, and then they can just create them quickly again.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we'll get like Lorville or something like that around it? Do you think we'll see these cities expand or anything? Yes. Or do you think they're always going to be? Do you think they're going to build extra buildings over time?
I think over time we will see it. We'll see it. Maybe not like extra massive things further on, but he said about roads joining them up. Now those roads, I'm wondering if when it comes to buying land ourselves, we can attach like one of our little 4K kilometer patches onto one of the roads and then build our own outposts from there, create roads to that road, and then you've got we're going to create a lot of the outskirts of these landing zones. I'm hoping that'll allow us to build on the outskirts of them. But I expect they will add over time. Like if you see something being constructed in the background, they will slowly, every time you play the game, you'll see it sort of build and build and build.
I hope so. And maybe like us trading and delivering materials to a certain area would help the construction site. That would be really
and if
cool.
they don't get the materials, it ceases until they do. That's all part of the economy.
That would be really
very
cool.
Nice.
It's like ArcCorp when we first had that. We could go in it, and then some things were like cut off because it was like a barrier, and then they had it like under construction. Like, obviously, we know you couldn't do it, but I really hope we do see something like that where you can start, actually providing materials, trading with the outpost, and then you see it growing and getting bigger and actually having an influence on that would be so cool.
I can't see them not doing that because Chris Roberts is very much, he wants to tell a story. He doesn't want something to just be like, for the means to an end, done. He wants it to be a case of, well, a new ship's coming out. We're not just going to, like a new, like say the 2950 Aurora in like 2020. They don't just want to release the ship and say, it's a new ship. They're going to do a full campaign of a launch trailer. They're going to be in the shops promoting it, that sort of thing. So new things coming along will be done in lore and in fiction that we can enjoy and see grow as time goes on.
I mean, that'll be really interesting if like a new ship comes and it's not announced at all. like you only find out by an advert on a TV
Yeah.
screen, and all of a sudden it's word of mouth. It's like, oh shit, did you know they've got a new ship? And it's like how good the company is at doing promo as to whether you actually see whether something's happening or not, or if it's got
You're
like, no
is
budget.
it better than my current, like the new Hornet? Like, well, I like my old Hornet. What's the features, the new features to it? Like when you see like a new phone release,
Literally have to go to a showroom and say, well, come on, man, what's good about this?
What's good? Yeah.
What do I got to do to get you into a new Hornet today?
Yeah, so can I part exchange my old one? Oh, something I don't know if we've probably got it on the timeline to come up, but about the second-hand dealers in Lorville and Nevsky, is that on the road?
I did put it on there, yeah, as something to talk about. We can talk about it now if you like. I thought because that kind of goes with the city sprawling as well, and I did find that really interesting that he said that there was like an outside part of the actual Lorville where people have been kicked out of the city, or whatever, but still set up shop.
Yeah, do you reckon we can live
I thought
there?
that was, well, I don't know whether you could. Yeah, maybe they would have like. Would it be like I don't know? Are they like containers or tents? They can't. Yeah, like container homes. But I mean, is this the sort of start of where we're going to see maybe smuggled goods being able to be sold, or maybe something like because you don't have to go through security check-in to get in, so you might be dumping it to those people and they find a way to get it into Lorville. So yeah, I saw that and I thought that was pretty interesting to say that, because that's kind of why I asked about the sprawl. Like, would we see those camps getting bigger? Would we see like more people getting kicked out of a place?
They have said, haven't they, about as the economy grows and flourishes in an area, more people will flock, like NPCs will flock to the area and populate it. Whereas if it starts dwindling, you start seeing graffiti pop up, more crime, people start leaving that. They've said that's part of the economy system and the NPC system being driven by the economy. So yeah, potentially, if you could see these, I don't know if they're going to like suddenly you'll see like 3 or 4 more containers and people living there. But I do like the idea that we could have like someone selling a container and you could be like, oh yeah, I'll have that on the outskirts, and you could be a fence there and you could smuggle it in.
That would be cool.
To Hurston.
Set up your own little shop almost. It's like, I'll take this container. I mean, I presume there's going to be ways that we're going to have to try and see, like, if you're going to smuggle something in, how do you think that's going to do? Are you going to be able to find a secret route going in, or do you think it's going to be to do with more like the gear you've got to whether you can hide it? Because I mean, if you find like certain places that you can take stuff in, then that's going to be on the internet within like 10 minutes, and then everybody's going to know the smuggle route in.
I think it's more against AI and then against players. I don't know how. Like we saw a while ago when they talked about smuggling that handheld scanner where you could open it up, take the batteries out, and put contraband in there, and then take it in. So if someone pats you down, they see a scanner. They might not. If there's multiple items you can use to smuggle in, they might see the scanner and be like, well, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I don't care. We'll let them through. But that only really applies to players.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess there's going to be like they was also talk about cargo crates that dampen stuff, maybe bribing a guard or something.
Yeah.
Finding maybe you watch a door somewhere that you can hack into, and the patrol route of the guards isn't that good that day. You can just walk in through that door or something.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Smuggling is going to be like I guess Chris Roberts, from the way he talked about it on stage, was kind of like Metal Gear Solid, where you have to kind of avoid the guards' paths.
I mean, they say it's going to be skill based, so that would be pretty cool if you had to just watch guard changeovers and things like that and say, right now, get in there. Because then, but I mean, that's kind of what you want from the game, because it means that someone that dedicates to being a smuggler it's as good as that person is, depending on how well they've done research or whatever. So you can actually make a reputation for yourself. And I think that would be better than it just being, I buy box X and this shield's what I've got, so therefore I can take it in. Because that's kind of takes away any sort of fun element to it. It's just like, there you go, that's probably what's going to happen, because CIG don't do fun. So it's fine. No, don't worry. I forget what we all said. It's going to be a box.
Yeah. But they did say, didn't they, that there may be some sort of like sewage outlet or a like an air suction thing, that like a vent that you can, like a big fan vent that you can get into and smuggle down, and then you've got to sort of avoid the guards as they're walking past and make sure that when you get to the end, they've moved on and you can get in that way, and that'll avoid the scanners. But then, you could bribe them. I don't know how it would work against players. That is the question. It all depends on the person and how thorough they are when maybe they're patting you down. Because it's like, if you say, for example, that mission that they played through, you get there and there's players there already, and you're like, right, well, I need this prototype. You can keep whatever you've salvaged. I just need the prototype. How do you know that they've not got it on them or it's in their ship? you will need to search them. So there must be some form of search mechanic where you can, and this will go for smuggling as well. You can need to, in a way, pat them down and see what their inventory is. And they can either be like, yes, you're welcome to, or you're not. And then if they don't have it on them, then it must be somewhere else. So there's that sort of hiding it in places, and
Well, you just shoot them and check the bodies.
Yeah, but it's like that's the thing. Like, if you shoot them, you'll then you'll get this stat. They'll obviously have a vendetta against you. If I came across someone who was smuggling trying to take these other blades, I'd be like, right, guys, I've come for this specific blade. If you've got it, I need it. We'll leave you alone. If you don't have it, carry on. That sort of thing. But you need to determine the difference. I wouldn't just go like bang bang. Oh, they didn't have it. Oh, I wonder who does. I'd rather play it in a role play way and be like, right, well, I'll let you live if you just either let me have it or tell me where it could be.
Yeah.
But I'd speak mean to them. I wouldn't be like, hi, yeah, I'm wondering if you've got the prototype. I'd be like, oi. I'd be like Craig Fairbass.
Who want the prototype? Excuse me, sir. Have you got the prototype by any chance?
Shut up! I'm handling it.
No, I've got this one. It's fine.
You take over.
Yeah, you never know. It might happen.
God.
Roleplay.
You too.
That's what roleplay's all about. That's what it's all about.
It's all
If you're not role playing, you're not playing Star Citizen.
Yeah. You have no place here.
You have no place here. Right, okay, so we'll try and get back on track. So what are the other things that...
Constantly trying to get back on track.
My name is Jeff.
like, we've had the most amount of Star Citizen content on the Asylum podcast that we've ever had. We don't normally have this much.
We're way past the 10%. We can talk about any old shit now.
So one of the other things was the new hangars. The new sort of hangar with the big massive... Well, the big massive hangar, which was quite interesting to see. So we've got on like Levski, the smallest hangar is even that felt quite big. The hangar that you got in Levski now when you take off, but this looks pretty massive. I don't know what sort of size they were saying that this was meant to be for. I mean, the Mustang.
That's the large hangar, but they have very large hangars.
Yeah,
and I think like in the truck stop, if you go, like I said before, if you approach with a staff there at the right angle, you can get into. You can sort of be offered to land in the hangars where the doors open up from the side and you drive in, rather than what we used to with it opening from the top and lowering.
Yeah.
Because that felt amazing when I did that in the truck stop where you go in and then you can see that little control booth and this AI stood there at eye level as you land the Starfarer. That would just be amazing seeing that.
Yeah, the wrist stop is amazing.
As long as it's not a troll and he keeps saying, come on, and smash. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that, mate.
Yeah, the hanger. Leave a little paint on it. But yeah, they let me dock in the big hangar with my little Aurora. I went out to the rest stop one day, and they're like,
nice.
Yeah, they opened the doors for me. I flew in. It's just hot dog through a hallway kind of sensation.
Oops.
I'd love to see someone do that. Just now I get it.
You got it now.
Suddenly just make now if you picture a hot dog, it does actually make sense. Or a Frankfurter. Kraken looks good.
Kraken looks amazing.
So sense of scale. That's the freaking... You all seen JR's model and how big that looks. That's it there. And it's still... that's what makes me laugh when you see these bigger ships and it 1 minute it looks massive when you're standing next to it and then you see it on like a landing pad and it makes it look small. It's like, well...
It does,
these ships, these ships aren't that big. That's not that big. Look at it.
It's like even like the Caterpillar. You only really see the sense of scale when you go into third person and you think, oh I'm smaller than the landing gear. Or the weapon, or the Constellation. Even that's a smallish ship, but when you get those sort of big weapons, you lay down next to it, it's twice the size of you. Third person just justifies it.
You gotta walk up next to him.
Yeah.
Just blown away by the scale every time. It's just crazy, but it's just these landing zones and everything else just make everything look smaller all the time. It's just crazy.
It ruins it.
Yeah, I didn't get that. So it's a no-fly zone, but you're allowed to take off in it. So
he said You have to go a certain height before the barriers are removed.
So do you think this is going to be like a permanent? This is how they're going to handle it. So you go a certain height to take off. Like, what do you think of that? Do you think that's a good way to do it?
Yeah, you're going to keep people from just kamikazing people inside the no-fly zone. Like, you get some altitude. So if someone decides to, I don't know, hover above you, ram you, shoot you down, you get at least a little bit of altitude from like any ne'er-do-wells trying to do something. I suppose.
I thought it was a good idea.
Around it, to be honest.
I think because they talked about maybe coming in on rails or something, so that it would kind of force you to do a certain route,
like the old ArtCore thing.
But this, it let you go to a certain height, then you could fly around. The only thing I don't know is once you get released from that, what happens? It would have been nice if they'd shown you what happens if you tried to go back down again. Does it? Because they said something about it grabbing hold of your ship. Yeah,
like an invisible wall. And boom, 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 boom.
Or they just take control of your ship. That would be pretty cool. Like, you get a warning.
I think that's what they said, isn't it?
You get a warning, and then they literally just say, "Right, we're taking over your ship."
Like, you're a fucking incompetent idiot. Let me take you back to where you need to be. But see, Christian says has a good point there. It's also because this sort of city tech isn't all like the fidelity is in the areas that you can explore. The other areas are kind of just quick, cheap aesthetics. A bit like when you see an AI ship flying, they've probably culled out the full interior on a lot of it until you get super close to it. So it's kind of like that. You don't really want to see all this stuff that is not as high in detail as the places that are explorable.
But can't you walk around those?
No. Maybe you can jump out.
No walk zone either.
Can you kick a cyclone at the back of a Valkyrie and just land in one of the fidelity areas?
That sounds like a challenge. Yeah.
This is stuff we're going to have to experiment. Yeah, can you parachute out and land and then just walk around all the places?
You can, but you don't have a parachute, so it's just basically falling.
Basically falling out the back.
You're going to have to land on your Crocs.
Boy, you just bounce back up again and out of atmosphere. It's like, yeah, that works.
Inflatable Crocs. Why has that not been in an anyway?
Yeah.
Croc parachutes.
Croc shoots.
Yeah, you got that.
Just opens up to a giant fucking sandal.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the... So, Hurston itself's got, I think he said it was 6 biomes, which would be interesting to be able to go through and see all those.
One of which is toxic.
I did list them all. They are on here somewhere.
So the
desert, savanna, acidic strip mine, I think was one of them.
Yeah,
trash and polluted coast.
That's the polluted coast right now.
Heading over. It sounds like there's no other option for coastlines.
Anytime you see water, it's the polluted coast.
It's the polluted coast.
Like the smallest of lakes or puddles. The strip mine is what they fly to when they have that underground facility. It's basically what's happened with Hurston is because of all the mining that's been going on. It's kind of ruined the planet, and they've stripped it. So there's very little things to find. Maybe a vulture can still find some things to mine, like in the smallest of places, but it's basically been mined out from the big machines, and that's caused, I believe, the big fuck up. Or was it a terraforming incident?
For those that don't know, Hurston is actually the corporation, so the planet is owned by the actual Hurston Corporation.
Hurston Dynamics, yeah.
And they make weapons. A lot of weapons.
A lot of weapons. And crocs.
Lore whale, yeah.
Good weapons, actually. They make some decent weapons.
The croc shooter.
Point,
the croc shot.
Point. It's like a fucking t-shirt cannon. It's just... Stop!
I can just feel madness. Like, he can't sleep. He's like, he's tucked in Vietnam. He's gone back to bed. No, he's not sleeping tonight. He's got the covers up to his nose, and he's just tossing and turning. He's like, they're up to something on this podcast.
He needs to just be present all the time to say, back on track. Kraken. That's the safe word.
Kraken. Release the Kraken.
We need to make that a thing now.
I'm just imagining a big sandal turned upside down with like a bunch of buccaneers and a couple cutlasses landed on top of it.
Do we have a ship that looks like a croc yet? Probably do. Probably something.
Probably a good time to go to the toilet, innit?
There ain't nothing important happening here on the
There's
podcast.
Nothing there. So, I mean, what a lot of things people have been saying is that it's quite... empty, a lot of these planets, and it still is for a moment. Obviously, they scan and come up to this wreck. Like,
I was super excited about the vegetation. Like, as soon as the trees come up, I'm like, yes, the trees.
Yeah. So that was the one they landed in was the savannah, and it was like, oh, at last, we actually seeing something that's not just rocks and more rocks and more rocks and
like I said during my broadcast, like we've finally exceeded Elite Dangerous in terms of in quality of content, but we're not quite up to No Man's Sky's level. So we're somewhere between Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky in terms of planetary technology.
But I mean, that's a good point, because that's kind of what I mean by saying it's empty. Like, there is nothing, like, in terms of there's rocks and everything else, but there's not even, like, is there a plan to have, like, there's no animals, there's no
they showed
plants,
I think they showed it off
like,
last year. When I showed off Lorvere last year, they had, like, these little gas bag aliens with tentacles floating around.
Yeah, I remember them. So it'd be nice to see if we're going to have just like animals even in the really remote places, but just different ones that live there as well. Because I suppose it's those little touches, like we were talking about the face and the AI stuff, but it's those little touches that make the planets feel like a little bit more like they're alive by having those sort of things dotted around. Like, you're flying everywhere and there's no birds or anything like that. So yeah, I think...
I can't wait to exterminate like some sort of shit goal. Like with my Aurora, it's like, imagine you got because the Aurora and the Constellation have VTOL fans, vertical takeoff and landing fans on them. So I can imagine just turning those sons of bitches on, flying through like a flock of doves, space doves, sucking up, just
those
sucking
majestic
them all up.
space doves.
And you just see a fountain of blood, of blood and feathers.
It's just going to extinct half the animals. Like,
so
straight
the bird of peace. The bird of peace. Vertigo.
Oh, there's pieces of them.
A flock of them. Yeah.
They're gonna be a bird of peace. No, bird of pieces.
Yeah, that's it. We've just introduced animals, and you've now wiped them out in the space of landing.
Here's
like
rare species. You see David Attenborough, and then fucking Vertigo. Ah!
And here we have boom. But yeah, I think we must all be elves, because we all absolutely loved the trees. Something green.
Yes,
wow.
the trees.
We're
all
tree huggers. Yeah. So yeah, it was nice to see.
I was channeling my inner elf.
So one of the things that this is going, he scans and finds the wreck. Now obviously there's like they've planted this here for the demo and everything. But so how do you think the wrecks are going to handle, like, once the mission's done? Like, because you see him he takes the boards out and just chucks them on the floor. Do you think they will reset and go back into the computer? And do you think that these wrecks are going to disappear once the mission's done, or are they going to stay there?
No, they're
but
going to
just as an empty
I think.
wreck.
If you've noticed there's missions, isn't there, that where you go and drop off a box, and then you've got this sort of like airdrop on the moon, and then as soon as you put the box down, the fucking thing just disappears right in front of your eyes. You could be stood on it, and it's just like, whoa, what the fuck? So I think for the sake of it, they may. But I don't know. Actually, I don't know. They may just cull out as people leave and then come back again. But I feel like they are specifically for missions that are sort of like they're artist placed, aren't they? They're not like they could procedurally generate somewhere, but they're artist created. It's not like a satellite has actually come down and fucking dug into the ground. But I don't know. I'd like to think they'll persist there, but I doubt it.
Well, I suppose it'll be a mix. So you've got like the ones we've already got now on the moons with the javelin and things that are already wrecks, and there's not necessarily a mission. Well, maybe the mission inside. So if you've got to go and get a cargo box from it, that could regenerate. But the actual specific mission ones to find like a down satellite that I presume would disappear. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
I'm sorry, I have to talk about something that happened in chat. I'm just imagining myself trying to put these space doves back together with flex tape.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Just get some of that flex. Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Fine.
Now here's the thing. Do you think we'll be able to knock the trees over coming in for a landing? Maybe just you coming in with your Starfare and you don't want to you don't want to deploy the landing gear or something, so you just turn the engines off and just coast into the ground.
That'll be cool.
I think we should, but I don't know if that's going to happen, which would be a shame. But I mean, if you imagine, not that I mean, I'm amazing at landing ships, so this would never happen to me. But you know, you can imagine someone coming into landing and like forgetting the landing gear and just like hitting the floor and just like scraping into the dirt, and then you have the great big like you know, trowel behind you where your ship's skidded for about 2 miles.
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll see that, but that would be pretty damn cool if we get
I
that
wouldn't
far.
be like I think they said it's not likely to happen, but that was a few years back, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did suddenly come up with some tech, because they have spoken about terraforming, which is kind of what it is, where they allow it to grind into the ground. I would say no, I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do come up with something that just fucking looks great.
That works.
Yeah,
I'd love to see persistent deforestation. That way I can role play like the Captain Planet cartoon. You know,
Didn't they say
We can
something
cut
you
down all
could
the
destroy
trees
the
and-
trees?
Yeah.
I can't remember. No, maybe not.
I think if they've got mining, I wouldn't be surprised if they do figure out some sort of. It's literally the basic need for any MMO sort of partially survival game is the ability to cut down a tree.
yes,
True.
with your bare hands or a rock
Yeah.
of some kind.
Oh,
But no. You've got to punch the tree. Come on, let's get it right.
That's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
like
Punching
Bros.
trees.
Just
Well,
Or
just-
Minecraft.
wasn't it?
Minecraft
Just
did it
box
first,
it.
by the way.
Yeah,
Punching
yeah.
trees.
Takes forever. It's like they need like a more visually accurate one where you look at your fist and it's just blood.
just broken bones
Yeah.
coming out your
The
fist.
fidelity
Skin ripped
into
off.
it is because this is realistic. You just punch the tree and just break your hands, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, thank. That was.
Oh,
that
it
was
worked in
worth it.
Minecraft.
So, what did you guys think of the wreck down satellite?
I think it was pretty flamey.
I thought it looked.
Pretty
Pretty
flamey.
good.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
It was
Pretty good.
nice. I don't like the fact that there is this set mantling direction to get to it, because then every time you see this on a wreck, you're like, all right, well, I need to jump up here.
Yes,
Star
Star Citizen. What do they call that? Platforming in Star Citizen. I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure if I'm ready for Chris Roberts to build a platformer.
No. I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be nice if you could jump out the back out of a ship and land on the top of it, and then
Well, there's
Well,
no
no,
reason
you
why
We
don't-
you
were
could
talking
cross.
about that
You
on the
could.
podcast. We were talking about that on my broadcast when we happened this. Couldn't you just get a second person to just drop you off where you need to be?
Yeah.
Done.
rather than this whole really sketchy climbing. Look at all that jagged metal. There's no way I would be climbing up that place.
It's like cuts
I'll just
into
get a
your
fire
suit as you
extinguisher and
climb
go.
up.
You got all the jagged metal. You got It's Hurston, okay? By the way, it's like they have polluted coast. That's one of their biome. That's the only biome for their
Yeah.
fucking water areas.
Yeah, stay away from the water.
You
But
better
yeah,
have
like
your
if I-
tetanus shots up to date.
Viking makes a good point, and the same as what you're saying. Like, there's the set way to climb up. Like, is every down satellite going to look the same, or are they going to have to?
Well,
Like, if
that's
that's
it,
your
they'll have to have
mission
so
to get
many.
the thing there, like that means you have to think of all the each one. You can't randomize.
Yeah,
how it
I
crashes.
recognise this satellite from the ninth one I did 3 weeks ago. I
know
know
exactly
you have to
where
go
I
for
need to go.
because the artist has to literally create this, which is like, are they going to create so many of these different downed satellites that you will
Where
then
you can
forget
climb up.
which one is which? That just seems time consuming.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
they-
why they have procedural generated satellite crashing on the road.
Yeah, but then if they do that, you can't climb up it if it doesn't have the mantle like route. Though, if it's procedurally generated, it's
Grapple
like, I don't
hook.
know.
yeah,
but then-
jetpack.
Mm,
I
just
mean-
Drop your buddy
jet
off in a
crocs.
spaceship. Yeah, you go
Like I
jet
said though,
crocs.
like having someone else there to fly you, and I mean we do it now. Like this is something we talked about before in terms of, like when you've got to go and drop off a cargo package. Like obviously we've just seen in this demo that they've now finally got like the no-fly zones, but like that's what everybody does. They literally go to where they need to drop the parcel off, and they land. It doesn't matter whether they're landing like
Yeah.
that on the side of a ship. It's like this is where I've got to drop my package off. I'm going to get. It's kind of like women in a supermarket car park, right? They get as close as they can to where they need to go. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot
That's
of
not
people.
true. Rachel
No.
drives the furthest away from Tesco's door, and I'm like, there's fucking like 60 parking spaces. Where are we? Why are we down here? Doesn't make any sense to me. But
I mean,
yeah.
we just like last podcast. It was Mac, and now Ms. You're stepping in there. Like, can we not? Can we just not?
We apologise on Mrs. behalf. On
Mrs.
sorry,
behalf,
Ken.
yes. Everybody. We normally we do not talk about this whatever. Let's
Let's move on quick.
It was just a way to avoid using my missus' name. That's all. It was just like it wasn't generalising all women. It was just no, I didn't say her name. So it's like she literally like, well, go and park there. It's like no, this one's fine. No, we need to get to the closest one possible. Anyway, what I was trying to say was,
yes, that is something. That
this is what people do
everybody,
at the moment.
Everybody parks in the dirt right in front of the steps for whatever outpost they're going to.
Yeah,
like legit right in front of the steps for like the trade hub. Like
I'm a gamer. I hate walking.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of ironic considering like everything we've seen, especially in this demo and everything else, is literally just transport, walking everywhere.
Chris is determined to get us in-game exercising. He wants us to maneuver.
Oh my god, you're gonna have to get there's gonna be a Star Citizen Fitbit, and you're gonna have to start walking before you get your character.
Gotta get my 4 million steps in for this year.
Oh my god.
For this day.
Like, 4 million EVA meters.
There's the teleport.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Go-to.
Did anyone notice that? Has anyone tried that?
Yeah, has
That
anyone
command.
actually just gone,
Command.
let's do it.
Who knows? Maybe it's in the PTU.
Yeah. But it's like
forgot
teleport
to
to where?
turn it off.
Suddenly you do it in the PTU and you end up on Hurston Planet near a satellite.
Yes.
That would be incredible.
That would be incredible. I would love that.
Like record stream, fucking what's going on. But I do like the fact that they've sort of brought in this component system now with this mission. So the computer and the blades are actually parts of your ship. Your ship will have a computer. It'll have the blades that you can swap in and out to give it better performance in some areas. So it's nice to see that is enabled in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you hit on it earlier as well. In fact, I liked the fact that it's not just, oh, we know this is the control box, we know this is the one I need, let's just grab it and go. Like, you could do that and then it'll be like, you got the wrong one. You just grabbed the wrong one. Having the actual inspection thing in there. Yeah.
Oh,
I like the fact
that. Why can't I turn this mission in? Why can't I got the fucking thing from the thing?
I got the thing. I did what it told me to do. This game's broken.
Your mate's like, you did what? You're paying for the fuel.
And you just throw it everywhere as well.
It's like what he said about going, like, the reason why there's such a distance between these places as well is not just for scale, but he wants you to think. He wants you to slow down and actually engage in the game. And something that someone about Red Dead wrote is that they're not creating a place with missions that you go to. They're creating an area that you can immerse yourself into and live in. It's not a scripted thing. And that's like Star Citizen. It's not a case of, like we said with the Skyrim thing, you need to go here to pick up this. This is where it is. You need to take it to here. It's kind of, this is where it is. You've got to then scan and search for it. You find it, then you've got to inspect everything to find the right thing. If you can't find it, you've got to figure out a way of locating it, and then that continues on, And he did say that this isn't going to happen the same way every time. I still feel it's going to be slightly repetitive, but you could get here and find it, and then take it back, and that's your $4,000. Or you can come here, there could be some AI here fighting you, or aliens looking around. The variations to it are endless. Not endless, there's limitations.
Enough to keep people interested in at least this mission. Never mind the other stuff you can find out there in the verse. Maybe you find you're out here, you scan for it, and maybe you have a mineral scanner on your ship, and you scan something else interesting, like a rich vein of osmium or something.
Yeah, or opens up new missions.
And you go like, hey, I can sell that data while I'm out here, and you complete a mission, you find something else, and you make even more money on top of that.
Yeah, something I expect is if you're a cargo hauler and you're traveling from one place to the next, you may be scanning ahead because you're bored, and then you'll come across this derelict ship, and you'll be like, shit, I need to get this cargo delivered quickly. So then you could contact your friend or your org and say, this location, there's something here, you need to come and have a look at it. Or you can mark that location as somewhere that you want to come and check out later, so when you do drop it off. So it is a case of you will have different things happening dynamically. At the moment, it's very much A to B, job done, and it's boring as crap. But yeah, things, more dynamics in the missions and taking you to different places that you would never have explored before, like the next spot, which is that underground facility.
Nah.
Nah?
Nah. We ain't worried about the underground facility. Who needs
I just can't wait to explore that in the dark when it's occupied by creatures or aliens or something along those lines.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I mean, if you want to force people to get out of their goddamn spaceships, put an underground facility in. Who would have thought of that?
Genius. Chris,
And of course, you get to watch them grief him live on the stream here. Just land, blow up ship up. 45 minutes to travel just to watch your ship get blown up. Wonderful.
I mean, this confirms that griefing is fine. That's basically what they're saying for this.
The PvP griefing.
See, I mean, do you think this is kind of... So this is one of the things... I mean, obviously when we get some like repercussions from that sort of thing, it may be... this won't happen so much. But I kind of feel like if this is the case that everyone gets sent on the same mission, this is what everybody's going to do. Oh, there's a ship. And I mean, they kind of do it already in the PU. It's like, there's a ship. It's landing and there's no one in it. Let's blow it up. And like
some people do it. Some people, like, I expect as more people get into the game and not the diehard Star Citizen fans, more people will do that sort of thing. And I like you say, I don't like the idea that everyone can accept the same mission. It should be, I've accepted it. Trust me to finish the goddamn mission and not hire someone else behind my back and then have us fight off against each other. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't like that about it. And I think they need to change that personally.
I kind of feel both ways about this. One, it does make missions more interesting if you have players. Because I remember in Dark Souls, you would have PvP invasions in a game that was primarily a PvE game. And the idea was you would inject other players into your world in order to give that PvP scenario more interesting, because players don't behave the same way an NPC does. You can figure out the distance and and you can figure out the programming of the AI if you just give yourself enough time. But an actual player's gonna have some really weird quirks to them. They're gonna respond differently.
Maybe not the same mission then. Maybe the data connects people on the same path for separate missions, different things that you could cross paths. Not necessarily needing the same outcome, because if you're trying to find a prototype and they're trying to find the same thing, that will encourage fighting. If they are crossing your path and you have to land at the same place, not for the same thing, but maybe you need to...
Especially if you've gone through the whole, like, they've spent ages travelling there, you spent ages travelling there, and it's not something you can say, well, let's turn it in together. You can't split it. So, that is forcing a fight.
I think you can negotiate with people who take the same mission if you realize that they have the same mission, negotiations on the table. But from my experience playing games, and I haven't played a lot of MMOs, but I have played a lot of video games, the default interaction between players is usually violence. Usually violence in a video game. Usually gun comes out, and then that's how people negotiate with each other.
But I know CR is wanting to get away from that instant idea of let's just fight. He wants it to be like an environment that you'll get along. That's why they're trying to put in this reputation. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, you think I can get away with this. But yeah, he didn't want people to do that. And I've come across in so many incidents in Star Citizen, the PTU. I've got there's been other people around, and nothing, no danger. We're not fought each other. No one's fired. We've just waved. And if we had voice, we would probably communicate and say, "Hey, how was your trip?" You would actually converse. So, I feel like getting away from doing the same thing and trying to complete the same mission for the same item is a bad idea, because it'll encourage the fighting. I think giving the crossing of paths in such a way that you're both sent to the same location for different reasons is a good idea. Because then, if you get there, the danger could be from AI. It could be from, and I know it's not the same, but it could be from like creatures that you then have to team up and fight against in order to get the best outcome. And then if they want to double cross you, fair enough. But I don't like the idea of you both need to go to this location to pick up the same item. And yeah, fair enough. It could be from a different mission giver. Each like Clovis could say you need to get it. Ruto could say you need to get it. That is the only way I could see around that sort of thing. But I feel like there needs to be more to it than just killing.
And but the thing is, if you have that, then I also feel there needs to be a way. I mean, I suppose it's meant to be that if you turn your comms and everything off, that your ship's more hidden. But yeah, you kind of need to be able to hide your ship somehow.
I do that now. If I go to Korea, I don't land on the landing pad. I took it underneath somewhere and an EVA over to the landing pad, and guaranteed nobody sees my ship because I've turned off the systems. It's just invisible to everyone. Also, you hide it within the station. Your cross section's hidden as well, so no one technically sees it. But yeah, I would sort of maybe drive that Mustang into the trees a little bit and get it jammed in, and then put cloth, camouflage cloth.
There's in the current PTU, if you turn your starship off, you're actually very hard to detect until you're literally right on top of somebody. None of this 8+ kilometer range.
Yeah, which I think will encourage ground vehicles and stuff, so you can land in and then you drive to the negotiate where you need to go rather than just land on top of it. But yeah,
if you land on top of the objective, someone scans you down, sees your starship there. They're like, oh, we'll just blow up the starship. But if you land a little bit further away, maybe a couple kilometers away, turn your ship off and take it like a dragonfly over. And then turn your dragonfly off next to go and get your little handheld thing that you need to get, shove it in your back pocket, get on your dragonfly and fly back. Maybe that's a better infill and exfiltration idea.
When I think about playing through this, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I was just thinking about one of the things that I would like to see Star Citizen do is do more focused, co-op focused gameplay where like it's a good idea to bring another person with you. Maybe someone who you don't know. Try to
encourage you to team up.
I mean,
looking for group mechanic.
One of the ways around it possibly is if you're both after the same item. Like if you're in a group, I think you're going to be able to share the mission, so that if one person hands it in, I think it completes it for everybody. So perhaps if you negotiated and said, look, I'm after the same thing, let's group up so that it counts for both of us. Then that maybe gives you the co-op thing, because I feel like it needs that option, because I'm not saying that people shouldn't fight and there shouldn't be fights for these sort of things, but there also needs to be the opposite option. It needs to be a way to work together to hand these in, because otherwise, like you said, it's literally always going to be it's just going to be a shootout, because you've just spent all those resources, you spent money on your fuel, and whatever else you've done to get there. You need to have the same item.
I call that shootout reflex, the DayZ syndrome. Where you come across another player and it's just like, that son of a bitch needs to die. I don't know who it is, but they need to die. They're not in my organization.
Yeah, I've had that so much.
Doves.
It's impossible. You can't group up with anybody or anything, because it's literally, and people getting that in Star Citizen, it's like you got to shoot on sight.
Well, it's like what I said, if you both arrived at a place and then there were alien creatures that you needed to get through, you would likely team up for the greater good to burn through them. So you could be in the middle of a dual sort of negotiation where you're like, well, we were here first. It's like, well, I've got the bigger ship. And then these creatures start attacking you. You're just going to be like, right, everyone take these guys out. And then you'll fight your way through and potentially team up until the very end. And then I think they will balance these sort of things. But the way I see approaching that mission is maybe doing a flyby and sort of like, if you had what's this called again? The Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
You'd do a flyby, you'd look, then you'd maybe drop, if you see someone there, you'd maybe drop them off, like the turret cyclone off, and let that drive in. And then if you get into trouble, call in the gunship, or maybe use it as a show of force. I wouldn't technically go and land straight away and go in a spot. I would do a scout first.
Yeah, landing your ship in Star Citizen is quite possibly one of the worst things you can do right now. Landing, getting out of it. Usually it's better to leave someone in the pilot seat because they're more maneuverable, you're harder target.
You're asking for trouble, aren't you?
Yeah. But we'll see how CR develops in the future. They definitely need to really get the law and reputation system going to help combat this potential problem. Because I just do not like the idea of just everybody's a psychopathic murderer. We need to move away from the idea of this the DayZ gameplay where you have to shoot every player you see because players are too unpredictable. They need to kind of rein that mechanic. In lawless areas, I get it in lawless areas, but we need to have kind of a little bit of certain expectations from the player base.
I honestly think, like, I mean, I know CR wants that, CIG wants that. That's one of their aims, isn't it? And so they will be, like, all these people worrying about griefers and about people exploiting things and whatnot. They will find ways to stop it from happening, and they will create methods that will encourage people not to do that. So I wouldn't worry about it. I can see this game being more of you can live together and coexist for a long period of time before you actually get into some combat, unless you're in a lawless place or you do something to piss someone off. You know, I see it being a place where you can actually enjoy the other person's company while they're mining and you're there trying to take out aliens, and you're like, can you fucking help? Christ.
Stop mining and get off your ship and start shooting stuff.
But you have a mining laser that destroys everything. There's this huge worm here. Can you at least slice it in half for me?
Can you mine the worm for me, please? We can get some spice from it.
So.
Oh, it's so funny.
I know the Kraken commercials. Guys just drinking coffee while his friends are getting shot at.
Yeah.
I worked hard today.
Pull your weight.
This is my union break time. That son of a bitch.
Meet my friend the Kraken.
That's more what it was. It's not because his friends are turning up. It's like, no, I'm on break. I'm on break and I'm taking my break. It's like,
I punched my
you just
card.
attacked at the wrong time.
I'm sorry, I can't help you. I
if I
punched my
overwork.
card. Yeah, I punched my card already. I'd be in trouble if I do anything.
Oh, that was a great advert, that one.
I really like the Kraken. Can we do a quick side note right there?
Sure.
I love the Kraken commercial because it was very, very dynamic. I like the music. I like the action. They had the Cutlass Black when they redid the Cutlass Black. They had the Cutlass Black commercial, and I hated that commercial because it was just oh, here's the ship, here's a bunch of smoke effects, and here's us spinning the camera around the static ship. Oh, here's the bump dubstep kind of music. I'm just like, I hated that commercial. So I like the Kraken. I liked what they did with the Kraken commercial.
Let's see if we can. Let's play it without the sounds. Why are you talking about it? What, you want the sound as well? You won't be able to hear it though.
I like the music. Well, I can turn the stream up.
Okay.
I'll hear myself twice.
It might not. I don't know. It's probably too loud, blowing everybody's ears off.
Turn it up till it causes you physical pain, then turn it down just a little bit.
This was nice, the zoom out thing, and look at that space. I mean, we're saying how empty space looks. How awesome is that?
Yeah, and they love creating the sense of how massive space is.
The Crocs D&D campaign's coming soon. Yeah, I mean, the way the space looks there, the nebula things and everything is looking so much nicer. So good. Has anyone actually done any asteroid mining yet?
No, actually I haven't.
They took away my prospector, so
That's true.
I couldn't tell you. Bastards.
Maybe pitchforks.
I mean, like, we're talking about meeting people, but yeah, look how tiny that thing is on top of the asteroid.
What are we watching here? Is this the Kraken video?
Yeah. You know, the one that you've seen.
Yeah, I didn't remember the intro. I thought it was the Squadron 42 things. Like his outfit.
Yep.
But see, he's in space without a spacesuit.
Yeah, I did that the other day actually when I went mining, just in my own personal time. I took my space helmet off and the 300i just sort of watched me. And then he landed and I looked and the guy died, but his 300i was still there.
The time has come.
I've made a mistake.
For something new. Something.
I love the music. Reminds me of Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
That's what we were discussing that and saying it's close enough to sound like it, but changed enough so they don't get copyright
You need
strike.
someone you can trust. In this age of uncertainty, it's time to take back your strength.
It's because Brits are always
It's
bad
time
guys.
to
Did you know that?
I love the cockpit view though from the Kraken. See,
I also love the fact that
landing pad.
I love the fact that they say that ramming is a
We got your back.
very fair tactic as well.
Oh, release the Kraken. I hate that line.
Release the Kraken.
I noticed
Drake Crocs, the best Crocs
he's
you'll ever wear.
landing as the Kraken's moving. I don't. I know it's got to be an auto feature that where you click it and it sort of matches.
Good luck with that because we can't even get them to land.
Yeah, can't land.
We
No.
can't-
I'm gonna be
even-
trying that. I'm gonna be trying to land shit on moving shit. You watch me do it.
Hmm.
And
I suppose you've got.
everyone's
I mean,
gonna
this
die
isn't
because
inside
that's
the
just how
ship,
it
so
works.
yeah, this isn't inside the ship, so technically, it might be a little bit easier to try and match speed and land.
Oh yeah, it'll be way easier than actually landing it inside a ship's hangar.
Oh, can I? I want to address someone in chat. By the way, Red Dawn, you pointed out that all the pirate ships are Aegis ships. That was actually a lore post. They actually addressed that in a lore post. Believe it or not, Aegis actually responded to the Kraken commercial in
Yeah.
lore. There was
Wasn't
like an email sent out.
What was that? They were the concierge email as well, wasn't there? Was that
Yes.
concierge or was that to everybody? That was to everybody. No,
I think there was a
actually,
concierge, or I can't remember. There was an email they
yeah,
sent
it was
out.
a
Aegis,
response to it,
the head of
basically. Yeah.
responded to the Kraken commercials. Like, Aegis is a good ship, and we're not like
The Kraken.
attacking our ship. Yeah.
I mean,
for those
I
of you who
can't
are
wait
interested
to
in
try and land on it while it's moving. I think I could be able to do that.
Yeah, I can wait to see you try and land on it. We need to get like a fucking safety perimeter. Okay, no, you're good. It's like when they drop the nuke.
You imagine like the people standing on top waving you in, saying, "Yeah, come on, land. Who's landing this one?" Oh shit! And then just leave. No, it's all right. Oh, it'd be so funny. Right, where was we?
So expensive.
Yeah,
So
where
expensive.
were we? Let's just pretty much like the entire show right there. Where were we again?
Pretty much. So yeah, remote turrets on the Valkyrie. That looked pretty good. They seem to be working reasonably well. Neither of you own one, do you?
No, I've been in one.
No. But did you
yeah.
manage to press
Today,
and hold
the
N?
the space shuttle door gunner. That's amazing. I love it. It's just
Yeah.
you feel the thunder just when you put that trigger. This is
I mean,
amazing.
This was what I think when people saw this ship, the actual gameplay of it and being able to sit on the side gun turrets, and I mean the remote turret, the view on the remote turret is amazing.
Yeah, the remote turret's
Like,
pretty good. There's going to be more
It's the
users.
best
There's
view on
gonna be more
most
UI.
people. But yeah. But it just looks so much fun. And I think it's like that's what people are going, oh, I'm going to buy that. I want to use that. That looks so good.
Today we on the stream we took out a Valkyrie, and when we were trying to quantum jump to Delamar, we got interdicted a couple of times, and each time I was on the first time I was on the top turret using ballistics, and it just felt like turrets now. If you've not used them, they are fun and they are really, really rewarding. Like I mean, it's hard to see because your ship's shield does kind of block the view as you are getting shot. But when you're tracking a target and you're plowing into it, it feels. I need to sneeze.
We'll wait.
We'll wait. It's not going to work.
We'll wait. That's right.
You've put me off. It'll come back, bastard. But yeah, honestly, if now the turrets feel like an actual multi-crew station that I used to shy away from. I used to think, they feel awful. It pissed me off. Now I want to be in a turret, and especially on the Valkyrie when you've got those ballistic cannons. And then the owner switched out for fucking laser weapons, which ruined the whole experience. So I went to a different turret. But it does feel good. But those side doors turrets that have them off for infantry, I think they're like size 1s or size 2s, whereas the other ones are size 2s or 3s.
I just imagine you like lining up for like an amusement park or something ride, and then the ride attendant tells you like, no, we switched out the ballistics for laser. He's like, well, fuck that, I'm gonna go over to this. I'm going over to this other turret.
Yeah. I'll go on that ride instead.
We've swapped it for potato guns.
Croc blasters. But no, it just doesn't feel right when you've not got ballistics, because it's got like 10 Gatling guns on this thing.
Yeah.
Literally 10 Gatling. So ultimately, it's stupid to take that in unless you have so much ballistic ammunition, because there is space to store spare ammunition. I've noticed it says ammo storage. So you're going to go through it. So yeah, having a mixed of, because I think the pilot had lasers, which means he was taking the shield down, and then I had the Gatling gun, and I was just sort of eating through the ship. But you saw the damage on the ship as well on your own Valkyrie. And it was just, what an experience, honestly. And that was just a snippet of what Star Citizen offers, and that's the turret gameplay that should be in from the beginning.
Yes, I was super surprised they didn't blow off all 4 wheels on this airdrop.
Sorry, I know everybody's waiting for this drop thing, but I've got something in the document. Let me just see if I can find it. Keep going. But about the turret gameplay.
It's going to blow up. Or about the turrets.
Yeah, so this someone posted a double hammerhead. It's not they didn't film it the greatest. It's very short. I mean, it's cool, but it's a hammerhead versus a hammerhead. So
here we go.
Came up to a fight, and someone's like, "Hang on, there's a hammerhead over there." It was so cool. Unfortunately, it didn't.
Didn't we just talk about the DayZ syndrome? Oh look, there's another player over there. Let's go fuck him up.
Well, they did, but they did at least ask. They said, "Shall we go and engage?" And then when we went, "Oh, you will engage," but it got them back because the hammerhead, like the other one, had escorts. So
really? Nice.
Yeah. So.
Don't worry, we asked everybody on board our warship whether or not we wanted to go fuck up another player, and everybody said yes. So it's target. We had a consensus, we had 12
But you can only just see the other hammerhead like in the distance.
Yeah.
I can't see him yet. Is he landed?
No, he's there. You can see it in the distance.
Oh
on the
shit!
horizon.
Yeah.
Is that Hammerhead?
It's like a rod.
Let's combat. Let's engage.
When's the action begin?
Oh my
I've got
god,
some
I
sound
see
on
it
it in
over
a
there.
minute.
This is gonna be so sick.
Mini-Meep, I need you to put full power on the turrets.
That's what I mean. It's not enough action. It blows up far too quickly. That's the only problem. But then
Yeah, they are very weak. My orc was testing it a while
this
ago.
is
There's
just- this is ridiculous.
like 3 shots, I think, and it takes the hammerhead down.
Oh yeah, they gotta
This is
fix
some
that
Star
kind of
Wars
stuff.
shit right here. I cannot get over
Yeah,
this.
they need to rebalance everything down.
He is alerted.
I love the whole approach that they're like communicating between
Looks like
themselves.
he has a
Oh,
home
he
crew.
is a-
Let's
It's
not
'cause I
engage.
found
And we're engaging.
Oh, we are?
No, somebody's engaging us.
How cool does that look though?
Don't overheat.
Yeah.
All the turrets. It looks so cool.
Oh, that's so cool. It's like the first like real capitals.
But you see it's on fire and everything, and then boom.
Bits are falling off.
Yeah. So it blew up very quickly, which is a shame. But I do think it also, from when they were talking, it sounded like they had escorts of like 3 or 4 other ships flying along with this hammerhead, so they got absolutely pulverized. But I mean, when you see that though, that to me, that looks so much fun. I can't wait to get in and be able to actually fully man one of those things and just have that.
Imagine that though, with the new atmospheric flight mechanic. The fact that ships don't just instantly explode, and then you've got maybe different weather, and
Oh, I know.
Well, right now we have a lot of desync. I mean, OCS. For those wondering about 3.3 PTO, we have really good frame rates, but we still have a lot of network instability. You get a lot of desync. People start shooting visible bullets at you and whatnot. So there's still plenty of work to be done there. But everything's heading in the right direction.
But it's
so much nicer.
it's little snippets like that where you can see where it's going, and I think that's what's really
Exactly.
exciting.
Yeah.
You can see
Diamond
it,
in
it's
the
like,
rough still.
that
it's
is Star
like
Citizen at the moment, isn't it? Is those little snippets of just sheer bliss.
Brilliance.
Yeah,
sheer
exactly, brilliance. Yeah, and it's like that is what shows the potential of when it's all finished and said and done that we're going to be experiencing on a daily basis. It's not just like little small bits, and the rest of it is just crashing to desktop and trying to get back in again.
I know.
Saying that, yeah, I literally cannot play the PTU because mine crashes every 5 minutes. I don't know what it is. Must be something to my hardware, but I literally can't stay in the game for more than 5 minutes before I get crashed to desktop. It's like,
Yeah, it's irritating.
I got in a ship a few times and then it crashes. Then I don't even get to the ship.
I waited for 10
generally-
minutes for someone to spawn a hammerhead, and they did, and it crashed the server.
The funny thing was, I went in the other day, and it's like because they removed all the ships, I didn't realize, and I hadn't recopied my account over, so I just went up to the terminal. And I literally had no ships left. It's like I've got no ships. What's happened?
Yeah,
I had to
just empty ship
recopy my
display.
account. They just completely wiped it. So yeah, that was fun.
Trolls.
But yeah, so I mean, like you said, steps getting closer. It's all every little bit where it gets a step closer, it just looks so much more exciting. And I think when we get the group thing working properly, when we get the servers, like now with the frames making so much difference, it's going to be, yeah, it's getting there to being a lot more exciting.
I had some very salty moments on stream recently, and one of my viewers reminded me, "Hey, Vertigo, didn't you say that you really wanted to look forward to like 3.3.2?" I'm like, "Oh, that's right, yeah." 3.3 essentially isn't all that great, but there definitely shows a lot of potential. Definitely a lot of buildable potential with OCS. The frame rates are now silky smooth. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You
The
just
frame
gotta
rates
get
are
there.
amazing.
Yeah, it does still feel a bit like 3.2 because the locations are the same. They've only added nicely. It's 3.2 with good frames. Because FOIP doesn't work, Rico doesn't work for me. So it's once we get 3.3.5, which is close, that's when I think people are going to really see the potential of this game.
Yeah.
And I think we should see maybe a
Oh,
flock
and
of
people
ducks
are
coming
actually
back.
getting to Hertzton, by the way. I actually managed to get to Hertzton today and died on the surface of Hertzton. Actually, 380 meters above the surface of what is Hertzton. There's some placeholder planet out there, but you can glitch your way over there, and holy shit, the travel time is real.
Vertigo.
By the way. Yeah.
Well, they said this.
Hertzton? I'm sorry.
You're doing it again.
If I mispronounce it,
You're
you
doing
can
it
put on
again.
me, son.
He's doing his Welsh accent. Don't worry about it. It's his Welsh accent.
My wealth accent.
My wealth accent. My wealth accent with a lisp. Fine.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Let's get
No
back. Let's get
problem,
back to
fair.
the video. Let's get back to the keynote.
So yeah, I mean, they said that the size of Hurston was what the size of Earth now. Was that what he said?
Scales. They said it's 2,000 kilometers in diameter, so that's it's kind of like
About,
the
yeah,
sixth size of
2,000
the Earth.
kilometers size, about Earth size.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically a super Earth by Star Citizen standards, but it's 1/6 scale, so it's a 1/6 super Earth, which is like would be super Earth is like even more massive than our planet, but it is about Earth size in Star Citizen terms.
So yeah,
So
this
it's
is
about the same surface area.
yeah, which is just absolutely crazy massive. Like he says,
Like-
they're actually seeing another player. So this is the best part of the demo. Getting in your turreted cyclone.
It
and
ain't
just
mean.
dropping
It ain't
out.
me.
Oh,
I ain't
yeah.
no senator's son.
Boom.
When you see that guy jumping in the driver's seat, you kind of think like, "What are you doing? What?
But you just know that if I had done that, I would have landed upside down.
Yeah,
It's
murdered
like,
everyone. Even the
whoosh.
Valkyrie would have blown up for some reason.
But that would be fun. That's going to be fun.
Can you imagine doing the defending of this and seeing a turret gun cyclone just falling out from behind it, and you'd be like, "Oh, hang on, did anybody else
First of all,
notice that?"
the gunship
Did anyone
going
else see
mental around you, but then that coming down as well. It's going to be like, oh crap.
I can't wait to
Yeah.
do like defend and attack scenarios around this place.
Yeah.
I can't wait either. Oh my god.
They're
decent
AA
frames.
guns, aren't they? Those that they just blew up. Then again, quite quick. Probably shouldn't take that long. But this,
Well, yeah,
I was very excited when I heard about underground facilities because caves. He even mentioned caves because that was something that we saw. Someone did some concept. It wasn't official concept art, but it was of a cave, and everyone was like, "Wow, we've seen some concept art for caves," and it was like, "No, that's a fan's creation." But this opens up so much for different types of gameplay. Like it's dark down there. You don't know what's down there. There could be real people. There could be AI. There could be creatures. There could be aliens. It could be anything, you know. And that, to me, is just this whole like when he transitions down and then when he comes back up again, and you see the sun coming through the corridor to the outside. You do get that feeling of, oh, thank God they got out of there. And if they have these really long internal pieces that you have to fight through.
Because I didn't expect it to
I would
just
actually.
it goes down and down and down. It's like shit. This is deep. I wasn't expecting it to do that at all.
I would love to see underground facilities where you can drive into them, like large enough entrances and large enough where you can take the Warthog, kind of like.
Well, that looked pretty big. You could probably drive onto that possibly. I don't know if any of you saw. I linked Mac the video, but someone put a video on YouTube of the grey cats driving around the Hammerhead. That was really cool.
That was amazing. I love that.
So good.
You get your own tram inside the great.
But like some of these bigger ships, they're going to be that big that you actually probably are going to need something like that just to get from one, like the Kraken, from one side to the other.
The Kraken comes with one. Comes with a tram system.
Same with the is it the Javelin? Yeah, the Javelin. And that was from the devs who were working on the ship and doing walkthroughs of it to try and make sure it feels right. And they were like, it's just too big. We need to get from one end to the other end, and we can't be constantly walking through because it takes too long to get there. We need some form of quick transportation, and that's why they started getting these. I mean,
you know what? You know what I think. You know, I think the Kraken's tram is actually just a secret torpedo tube launcher. It's just a secret torpedo launcher.
Just firing trams at people.
No, it's just it's labeled as a tram.
Oh, right, yeah.
On the brochure, but in reality, it fires torpedoes.
That's just for trams.
It's for trams. Yeah. It's just a big tube. See, it's a big tube. It has a tram. It has a tram at one end of it. What are all these torpedoes? Oh, we're just those are just storage. We're delivering those to a customer. Yeah.
They're just torpedo-shaped tram carts. It's fine.
Something I do like about this that I have not been able to find in game at the moment. I don't know if it's the Virgil helmet, but when you see the scratches over the helmet, I actually really like that. I think it's a bit over the top at the moment, but not in this guy, the other guy's view. He has these sort of scratches, and I think when you first purchase a helmet, they should be crystal clear like this. But then over time, if you take it out and out and out, and you get action a lot,
I hope that's what it is, because I mean, if you buy it and it's that scratched, I would be pretty pissed. It's like, oh, come on, I brought a brand new freaking helmet.
Well, I would love to see degradation in the equipment to the point where you're talking about maybe you get hit in the head and it damages your visor to the point where you either have to patch it in the field, you lose the ability to see through that because you have to put a patch over it. Yeah, GF tape or something. Or you just have to purchase new equipment because if you actually, it gets all scratched up in combat or whatnot. I'd love to see that idea. I love the idea. I don't quite like the way the other guy's helmet looked, like you just pointed out, when you get into a certain light scenario.
Yeah, it's too flary with it.
It just gets miserable. And considering you have to look through your helmet, like most people are going to wear a helmet when flying like the single-seater ships, you have to look through your helmet's glass and then you have to look through your cockpit's glass. It's just too many glass effects.
Scratch on scratch on scratch.
I think it's something that, because they do have the sliders for wear and tear, so like your weapons will degrade. It'll start off at pristine like your ships, and then the sliders over time will begin to get worse. And I know what you're saying, Anadia, and I think it does, like on a helmet, you want it to be crystal clear, but I think it encourages you to maintain your equipment, so making sure that you polish it, you clean it, or whatever. And then over time, I don't mean like instantly you buy a helmet, you get into a firefight, and now it's scratched to crap and you can't see anything. I mean, over like a long duration, it starts to get worse and worse and worse to the point that you think, right, I need to either fix it or buy a new helmet. And I think that'll encourage you to keep changing your stock. And that will make you love something. If you think, oh my God, I really like that helmet, let me go to the location where I bought it from last time and see if I can find another one.
So I think it's get it repaired. You know, like
weapon degradation is something, and you'll be able to get them repaired again. So helmets, why not?
Repaired, fixed, and it's like, oh, this gun, this helmet's been through a lot. You know, we went through that firefight down on Lorville. We got that prototype thing. We got that firefight. I don't want to I want to keep this gun. It's got a lot of memories behind it. And then suddenly you find out they don't make that gun anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I doubt we'll get it, but it'd be kind of cool if you could just change the visor. So if that was scratchy, but your helmet still looks battle worn, so you can say, "Oh yeah, that is my helmet."
I'm thinking they might do something similar. Like, I mean, I know ship weapons. They said that they're going to be able to have parts of ship weapons that you can change, like the cooling unit, the power plant. So potentially, I don't know, but it could just be my dreams. But they could have, like, you're going to have different computer things for your helmet, won't they? So you could have a different, like, UI, maybe you could have a combat one and switch it for something else. So potentially you could swap the visors around. But I don't know.
I hope so. I hope they can have customizable visors. That'd be great.
It would. Really would.
You can have, see-through visors for some of the helmets, so you can do the FOIP stuff. You can have interesting decals on your helmets, like a skull decal or something, if you want to be like Call of Duty, that Call of Duty player. They love, the Call of Duties love the skulls. They love their skulls. Or you can have a unicorn or something or you can have a Hello Kitty or the Space Kitty one if you want to be more flamboyant today. Depends on how you feel.
As you do.
Yeah.
The FPS looks like it's getting there, but I mean it was still a little bit down there.
We need different iron sights. The iron sights on every weapon is diabolical.
We need optics. We need the Karna is just awful. But we've been pushing that button for several years now, ever since they had the first person shooter module in the game. Ever since Star Marine was a thing, or even back, I think it was the Persistent Universe came out before Star Marine did. Like everyone's like, these sights suck, and then they actually asked us for the Gallant, like, what do you want? You want iron sights or do you want an optic? And we were like, hey, put an optic on the Gallant. Then the Gallant lost that in the recent update.
Yeah, we got iron sights.
Yeah. So they said the rework they were doing for guns currently, the weapon refactor wasn't going to do anything with optics, but it was going to convert the weapons to like item 2.0 stuff. So eventually we'll have the optics option.
Yeah, hopefully they will come pretty soon as well.
Yeah, I mean, they say we're going to be able to upgrade and do all change parts like you said before. So yeah, I think we're going to probably see don't know if we'll see kind of Escape from Tarkov style, that detail with being able to change almost everything. But we'll certainly get to customize
for like the gun
parts.
Nuts, the people who are super, super excited about gun stuff.
For me, I'm totally clueless when it comes to that. It's like, why doesn't this wooden handle fit on this freaking gun? Just stick it on.
Yeah, just file it down. Just tape it up there.
The gun's a gun. What's the difference? Just make it shoot the same bullets. It's fine.
It's like, what do you mean 7.62 times 39 is not the same as 7.62 times fucking whatever the hell? Like, why don't you just make them all the same size? It would save them a lot of time, a lot of effort. Just make every bullet the same. Yeah, it's a good idea, isn't it? All the Americans are like, you fucking idiots.
Yeah,
You and your
Brits have
BB guns.
No idea. No idea. So yeah, one of the other things Chris Roberts said, which I thought was interesting, which we're not really going to, I don't know where we'll see it, but was like the whole road tech. So he said we're putting work towards, and it kind of, the way he said it was kind of like it would be soon. Like, that you can carve, they're going to be putting that. So now at the moment you fly everywhere, but you're actually going to have tracks, so you'll be able to drive to certain crash sites and things like that. So I mean, that'll be interesting when we actually start seeing some road networks coming on.
Yeah. And I do like the idea of, eventually being able to, maybe if you build an outpost somewhere, requesting if you can have it linked by road to another road, and then they'll have these. I don't see the reason why they won't allow that, but obviously that's way off. Even once we get fucking the Pioneer and building our own places and whatnot.
Yeah, there's no kind of mention with that about the whole, because I mean, when they sold that the land, it seemed very just random, like for no reason at all. Oh, we're going to sell land now, and the Pioneer, which was like, it's it's like there was no mention. We've not even heard anything about buying land, building it, claiming your plot.
It was on the production schedule for a while, and then they did the reshuffle last month, and then it fell off. Land claims were going to be towards the end of this year, if I remember correctly.
It was, and it was all the gameplay involved, wasn't it? Like registering and like
claiming.
Yeah.
Because they were going to have land out, and then they realized that, oh shit, we got to get Squadron 42 out eventually. So let's push out some of these other features that aren't quite a priority for Squadron 42. Some of the MMO stuff, and let's focus on getting some tech that we need for Squadron 42 out.
Yeah,
because I'm pouring over the 3.5 and 3.6 and 4.0 right now, and I'm not seeing land claim.
Yeah.
4.0? Where the fuck are you getting 4.0 from?
3.4, sorry.
Fucking hell! I was like, whoa!
Sorry, I'm channeling my inner.
I'm pouring over 4.0, 4.056.
Oops, sorry everybody. NDA.
Damn! Now we all know what the Evocati you're testing.
I'm. By the way, everybody, if you haven't figured out, I'm double Evocati, so I'm under twice the number of NDAs.
And you just broke all 3 of them.
I broke all 3 of them.
I'm under 2 NDAs, but I broke all 3.
There you go. I like it, Miz. I get it. I get what you did there.
Oh, okay, so I don't know what else there's left to talk about. So the shantytown, we kind of talked about that anyway. So that was good. Ship purchasing was the next thing up. Yeah.
Road to release.
Second-hand ship.
No, I meant from this. I know there's lots to talk about. I meant from this keynote
we could
thing.
skip ahead.
But we'll skip to the. So this is the shantytown thing that we discussed about, which is all good.
I like how they have different gates and they're all linked together with the trams.
Yeah. He said about customs and stuff on that, actually. Going through like the customs gate
stuff,
on the way in and things, yeah. I think the ship buying, yeah, here it is. Ooh, go back a little bit. So, ship purchasing. Who cares, right? Who cares?
I know. What a fucking pointless feature that is. We have all the ships we want.
Well, you could already buy ships. You've got a credit card. What the hell are you guys complaining about?
Yeah, I have 2 kidneys. I only need 1.
So yeah, I mean, this is, I suppose, why we've been waiting a long time for it, because they wanted to build a specific area, have the showroom, have it feel like it's supposed to. Yeah, it's like so over the top. It's awesome, but it's so over the top from what we need for first iteration. And then he kind of said in this that you're not going to be able to buy all ships because they're going to be sold at certain places. To me, which is
origin ships, and
when he said it was just like, oh, come on.
Idea. You're wrong. Great idea.
It's a great idea when the game's done.
Further along, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
good point, yeah.
And I was saying earlier, what would be nice is this, like the showroom style, but if you go to a console, you can still buy any ship. So, like, you can still have the feeling of going to a console and going to a dealership or whatever and seeing the ships. But if you want to buy something that's not
the dealer, walk through the ship, look at what's on it before you buy it, check out its specs.
Oh yeah, could you imagine getting like a tour of it? Like the dealer comes up and says, "Right, come inside and have a look inside the Hammerhead."
Taking a test drive in the Hammerhead.
Mez.
We have to be recertified.
But they
on your
didn't
space
mention
driver's
that. But
license
that would
afterwards.
be pretty cool. That would be cool to go and take it on a test drive first.
Actually, that would actually make sense. Like you can go to the dealership for the thing. You see the ship, and instead of buying it there, you can rent the ship as a test drive, and then you go to Arena Commander and whatnot.
I was going to say, yeah, bring in like maybe they have sort of themed, what do you call it? Those pods
modules, those pods,
yeah, where you can play Arena Commander, and it's like like New Deal. It comes up with their own version of test flight where you can fly it around certain courses and whatnot in an atmosphere and do little tests. So it's virtual, but it's kind of real at the same time. That would be a nice idea.
And it would fit. It would be diegetic and would fit in lore and whatnot. Like you want to be able to test drive your car, you want to be able to test drive your spaceship, but you don't want to put anybody at danger because you don't quite understand. You're not checked out on a capital class ship before, so you need to know how it flies before you take it out and you drive it into the fucking Hertzen.
But I'll pass. I'll go back to my Aurora. Thanks.
Can we talk about that price though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's cheap, isn't it?
What was the math?
21 million. Quick maths is 21 million. A lot of people were kind of salty about that.
Why?
Considering how long it takes you to make any money in Star Citizen, everybody just wants that single player MMO experience. They want to be able to play it like it's like the X series or
like someone. How many crew can you have on the ship?
Well, the crew stations, each turret, 6 turrets, 6 people, a pilot, co-pilot. That's another 2 people. It's 8 people. Plus, you have an engineering station. You actually have like a bunch of engineering stations, but one more engineer, it's like 9 people maximum.
So say there's 10 people. You only need 200,000 each. Doable.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's not intended to be bought by a single person.
Yeah, well, at least not at the start. Like, I'm pretty sure a single person, if you're wealthy enough, you could buy your own.
But a single person can't fly and utilize that ship. So why should a single person?
NPCs eventually you'll be able to put NPCs as
yeah, you know what they're going to cost. If that's how much the ship costs, how much you think an NPC's going to cost?
Yeah. You better buy some UEC off the store page if you want to help, pay for some of those NPCs, right?
Each. I don't do maths. It's fine.
I think it's one of those things where you go for it, Miz.
No, it's fine. Go on.
Okay, fine.
We're not going to do a Canadian standoff here, gentlemen, okay?
What about that?
One of you go.
The idea is the whole economy is going to be rebalanced, and as Chris said, you're given the option to buy pretty much something that a state, like a whole country, would buy for its armada. Like for 100 million pounds or whatever, they need to balance it from the smallest item, like a coffee cup. That's probably not the smallest item, but from a cheap item like a coffee cup,
a whiskey,
a drum of whiskey, a dram of whiskey, up to like I don't know, a javelin,
a carrier, a goddamn nuclear powered carrier, like the
that needs to be balanced. And so when we're looking at prices here, when we're looking at what our current earnings are and the potential for earning missions, that is ludicrous to even say it's good, it's bad, or it's just there's no way to know what they have planned. And plus, there's going to be different missions, different ways of earning cash, not just picking up a box. We're not going to, for the rest of our time, pick up a box, take it from A to B, and then finally be able to afford a hammerhead. It's just not going to work that way.
6 years down the line, I'm nearly there. My last
nearly
box.
there.
Yeah.
So the idea is, let's just wait and see what they do with the economy and pricing, and they will balance it perfectly.
And just like World of Warcraft, you had raids, right? You'd go on raids with like 40 people, 20 people, 40 people to get an item or a few items from the raid boss for someone in your group, in your guild.
Yeah.
And you do it again for another person in your guild. Like that's kind of how what the level of cooperation that's going to be needed to get some of these ships. You're going to have your entire organization behind you working so that the entire organization can get something that benefits the entire organization. Like a hammerhead or a javelin or an Idris or a Kraken, so they can have or a Starfarer, so they can refuel themselves in unknown territory. Like they want to go exploring. Well, you need to ship fuel in there somehow, so everybody can quantum around. So you're going to need a Starfarer or a couple Starfarers to do that.
And I mean, they've talked about having like an org bank, which is, I presume this is what if you want a ship like that, that's what you're going to do: work together an org, put the money in the kitty, and then someone will buy it. You have to, I suppose, then you fight who's going to own it in the org. But that's that's the way it's going to be.
Well, that's it. If the org wants to have, like, when I think about my org, if I want to have a Kraken as like the main base port where people can come and go, they can get missions from, they can come and collect different ships. It's going to be needed to be worked together. There's no way that one person technically will be able to just go and buy a Kraken. I mean, in game, obviously they're probably going to do that in real life. But the idea is you work towards it, you earn that money, like X amount, like percentage of what you earn from each org mission that people do gets put into the big organization pot. And it can only be like just like 5% of everything that you earn while you're working for the org. You take an org mission or whatever, everything you earn, a little bit goes into the pot, and then when you get enough, you can then use that to upgrade stuff or build another building or outpost or whatever. It's all about working together, and that's what this game is all about. Yes, you can play it singly and on your own, and I will do a little bit of that myself. But ultimately, if you're going to benefit from this game and really thoroughly enjoy it, you want to be with friends or enemies or people that players, other players,
tolerate
or frenemies.
Yeah, frenemies. Yeah,
frenemies. Yeah.
You're a pain in the ass, but I don't want to play it alone, so
yeah,
fine. You'll
okay, same to you, Mac. I don't want to play alone either.
He's on to me.
He's on to me.
So
I kind of feel this Aurora is a little too expensive, though. 200,000.
My original thought for an Aurora would be 150 grand, but that's the LX.
Yeah,
that is the luxury version. So
also, this is just placeholder, isn't it? Like, there's different said like this is definitely how much we're going to charge you for it.
Yeah,
so
I figure
it's like Lipsum, Ipsum, Cadorum sort of shit in it.
You read Harry Potter or something over there?
Yeah. You've now got baby feet.
Did he just cast a spell on us or something? It's like, what's going on?
You have the legs of a child now.
We're now wearing Crocs.
We're now wearing baby Crocs.
But
yeah, I am. So
I now have a Croc. I now have a tiny Croc on every toe.
Yeah.
Kind of like toe rings.
Why has that not been done?
Toe Crocs.
Croc rings? Croc rings.
Croc toes.
Croc ring. Hey, I'd probably get slapped if I walked up to a girl. Hey, you want to see my Croc ring?
Not these days. You'll get smacked.
How many Croc rings have you got?
One for each toe. I was blessed as a child.
Oh god.
Oh my side.
Wow. Okay. Back on track. I wear Crocs and I wear 2 toe rings. There you go. You've got Croc rings as well.
There you
Techno
go.
Kitty has a Croc ring. Anyway.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, we don't know if these prices are going to be what they are, and even if they are the right prices at the moment when they first put it into the game, they're going to be like altered because people are saying this is unrealistic to earn, this isn't unrealistic. So it's like the prices will go up and down until they find a decent balance anyway.
And like your earning per minute or whatever, however they calculate it will change depending on.
Can't even drink my tea. I'm afraid I'm going to ruin my microphone.
We've killed him. We've finished off Vertigo. Perfect.
Yep.
We'll do that as a little meme for you later. Croc ring.
Oh, Croc ring.
The funny thing is you can get Croc rings in all different colours as well.
Yeah. Croc ring
And
ring in the rainbows.
And you can
put Croc rings.
Put studs on them as well.
There you go.
Cartoon studs on them. Anyway.
They got good.
Wow.
These Croc rings, they have good traction.
And ribbed.
Ribbed. They got good traction.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. We gotta go. We gotta keep going. How long have we been going?
And long enough. I think this is that.
Long enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're coming on 4 hours here.
So yeah, shit, we are. I think that is the end of the keynote speech at least. So we're about a third of the way through. No, we're gonna end it there. That is, unless anyone else has got anything to add to the keynote speech.
Got any questions?
Actually, that's a good
we
point.
haven't done any questions, have we?
4. Okay, question time. Questions. Jeez, I knew this was going to be a long one. So what we're probably going to do is we're going to kind of My toes feel dirty. Just make sure you wash those because the smell. No, anyway.
In between.
Always wash your croc ring.
Oh, God damn it.
Exclamation mark, question mark in chat if you want to ask us any questions. Shit, I've lost my trail of thought. Okay, questions. So what I was going to say was we're breaking this kind of... obviously, the CitizenCon thing was massive, so we'll break it up. Next week, Madness should be back, so we'll talk a little bit more about the flight mechanics and things because that's more his thing. Hopefully, we'll have the video out for the face tech, so although we talked about it a bit today, we'll show off that a little bit more next week as well. Okay, so first question. Where can I buy myself a croc ring? No.
I was going to say, is it appropriate?
Viking X says, do you think the Valkyrie was rushed? There are some known issues with the back door, stairs, and no audio at all from what I played with it. Is it really flight ready, or was it just to make a buck?
Probably.
It's flight ready, but it is out there to make a buck.
I mean, it's flying, so technically it's flight ready.
But saying that, 3.4 is when we're getting the new flight model. And didn't they say as well the new audio for all the ships? So technically, there's probably no need to create audio, like proper full-on audio for these ships until if they're just bringing in a new set already.
Well, they've also said that the Valkyrie is actually going to be using Squadron 42. So
that's true.
That's basically it's not rushed. It's just basically that's the reason they've made it. There's most of the ships can kill you if you touch the wrong door or play with the knobs. That's what happens. Like it's just there's bugs everywhere at the moment. So I mean, the amount of times I get killed, the hammerhead kills us and everything else. So. Yeah,
there's a bug on it at the moment that if you sort of slowly walk between the ramp and the back thing, you sort of slip down in between it and you're stuck.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, can I? What the fuck?
Someone did show a picture because I haven't looked at it in too much detail. But the hammerhead wasn't it like? Is there a cargo thing that comes down? One of the ships, and then there's a landing gear literally in front of that, so you can't drive anything onto it because the landing gear blocks. It's like someone should have.
Can you not come from the back though?
I don't know. The only things I've seen is it just literally blocks this cage thing that comes down. I haven't seen it properly. I haven't got the pictures, but it just it did look like a bit of a bad design, as if no one actually checked it. Because I think even the thing comes down and then opens up, and it opens up on top of the landing gear, so it goes through, clips through it.
That whole engineering room, though, that they've got these really, I mean, it's cool, it looks cool, but the visual effects for it with the I don't know, the quantum drives or they're just engines, all this fucking visual effects particles, that is way over. I'm stood there and there's this blue shit for it. I'm thinking all those sparks falling from it's dangerous.
Sparks.
That's what the guy said.
Sparks everywhere.
Yeah.
There's sparks everywhere.
There's sparks everywhere. The DNA.
And yeah, the Valkyrie too. If you go prone while you're flying in the Valkyrie, like if you go into the cargo area, well, it's not a cargo area, the vehicle bay of the Valkyrie, and you go prone, you fall through the floor.
Yes,
I found that out recently. Yeah, I think rushed.
It's like with any ship. They release the ship. They can only see so many bugs because there's probably 2 or 3 people like the QA working on it. So then when it gets released, we find them all, we report them all, they get fixed, and it's done. It's just I don't think it's rushed as such. I think it's just generally going through the same process like any other ship does. Like the colonies were fucking horrendous.
It's also like there's the desync, there's like people doing stuff that you don't imagine doing on ships. We won't.
I wonder if anyone has ever decided to call a band desync. You know, like NSYNC, but like a group of nerds singing. Yeah.
That could we could have an in-game one called that. Desync, and they sing out of. They don't sing at the same. Out of sync, yeah. It's just out of sync. Look, hang on, before we go anywhere, let's stop this because we know what happened last time Mac talked about music and I had to edit the podcast, so we won't go there this week. So we'll leave. We'll leave the music thing alone. So the next question is from. I literally had to edit that out because I thought if that's on YouTube we're screwed. So I had to cut that out.
Stop me, Andy.
Calexus has asked, now that we know that CIG has the ability to fast-track ships, do you think we will see more of this? Also, is this a slap in the face to people that have a similar ship that have been waiting for a while, e.g., I don't know, the Redeemer? Do you remember Redeemer?
I don't know. That sounds crap.
No one gives a shit about that, do they?
I do. Like
No,
they
not
took the
really.
money for it.
Nah,
It's,
no one
the
cares.
whole point is
No
they
one
need
cares.
it for Squadron 42, so that's why they fast track it. If the Redeemer was in Squadron 42, it would have been done and gone by now, a long time ago. Once they're finished with that, then they will probably rejingle the ship pipeline, not the ship pipeline, but the release pipeline for ships. And you'll see certain things coming out. Like the old ships will start getting prioritized because they're no longer necessary. Rejingle. It's the official in-house
I've just got like
terminology.
Christmas music going on now. We'll do a re-jingle of it. But you are right, and I think also, I mean, the big part is Squadron 42, and now it comes like clearer. I think they're really pushing to try and get this done as soon as possible. I think, like we said, it's a good chance it's going to be out by next year. So I think that's why we're seeing those done. There's also the fact that these so-called fast-track ships are the ones that they have assets for. So they've done the Terrapin, which is similar, bigger ships which are similar, and they're just using those assets and putting them in these newer ships. So that's part of the reason why, and this is what we've actually seen towards as it's been progressing, that these ships are going through the pipeline quicker, and it's not just that, because they're
and
using
that is part
these...
of Squadron 42 again. Like Anvil is a big ship manufacturer for military ships, so Squadron 42 is a military-based single-player campaign. So Anvil needed to be, their style guide needed to be completed first, and that's why it's so much quicker for them to create Anvil ships, because they had to have that already established.
And I also think Go on.
The what?
Sorry.
The Redeemer is Anvil, is it?
I was going to say the Redeemer's, like, didn't people say it was just like an absolute mess of a ship?
Yeah, it
Like,
doesn't
in the way
follow
it's
any
designed.
style guide. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
So
the
they've
thing,
got to rethink it.
we can see how quickly they, like, I can't remember what ship it was, but when they said it was concept, and then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, it was released. It goes to show that they can really get ships out fast. So all these ships that you're saying, don't get me wrong, the Banu Merchant and the Carrack, the big ships are going to take a while to get done, but it's not as long as people think. It's not going to be like a ship from start to finish. They've already got.
I think it's when they lock down style guides. The ones that we're seeing taking the longer is that they don't actually have style guides for them at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's
especially
the main
some of
issue.
the more alien stuff like the Prowler.
Yeah.
But there's no point in them bringing out the Banu
Merchant.
Merchantman and then rethinking, hang on, that's not how we want the Banu to look. And that's not how we want the Banu ships to feel. So they'd have to completely redesign it. So they've got to be sure on the artwork, even of the race itself, before you can start building its ships, really. Just that's the way it has to be, I think.
Did they have opposable thumbs?
Exactly. Otherwise, we can't put switches everywhere if they can't use switches. It's good. Just simple stuff like that.
Yeah. Kinetics.
Phonetics.
Kinesiology, sorry. Kinetics, what the fuck's that?
Calexus asks, everyone's talking about expectations from the player base to combat kill on site, but I think server sizes play a bigger issue. What do you guys think? Bigger servers equals bigger teams, and you get less people trying to pew each other on a short-term basis.
Assuming everybody teams up together, everybody's on the same team.
Yeah,
but
I think it's team-based. I think it's more just trying to ensure that people are less inclined to attack, regardless of whether you're in a team or you're a solo player. It's more just
eventually it's going to be server missions, so we're all going to be on one big server anyway. So that's not making people shoot each other, I don't think, so much.
No. And I don't think it's like, he's in a big team, I'm going to leave him alone. It's more a case of, this guy's on his own out here, I'm going to kill him. That's an idea we need to get away from. And it is all the systems that they've talked about, like reputation, security, and all these sort of other areas that they're still yet to really establish. But once they have, we should start seeing a change in it. And also, don't forget, currently still, combat is one of the only things that we can actually do in-game. When they have real missions and like salvaging and all these different variations of gameplay and professions, you're less likely to want to engage in combat because you're trying to fucking salvage something or whatever.
I would disagree with the combat being in game right now. It's kind of very difficult to do it.
No, that's true.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's painful.
It is painful. That's going to come in 3.4, but we can save that for another podcast. I want to keep it. We're making strides in the positive direction. Let's not go backward. Right.
Yeah.
Let's not go dip into the salt water.
I mean, the Calexus is obviously feeling a little bit hurt at the moment because he's asked another question. He says, "How long till the Kraken is flight ready? I need to know when I get the next slap in the face."
Sorry, Kraken.
The Kraken. The Kraken is ready when you're ready.
When you're ready for it.
When you're ready for it,
Chris
the Kraken
Roberts.
is ready.
Chris Roberts will let you know when you're ready. You'll get the concierge email. Oh, you're not concierge. They're not gonna.
I mean, we've said this quite a few times, and it's like the longer they take to make a ship, trust me, it's going to be better for you, because the ships are getting better and better as the technology gets better and better, the more that they're putting them through the pipeline. Look at how many they've had to go back and rework because they haven't been done very well. The longer you're waiting for your ship, honestly, is the better it's going to be.
Keep telling you, Matt.
Keep telling yourself that, you fight.
The longer you wait, the better it'll be. It's like the game. The longer you wait for it, the better it'll be. Trust
Do you
me.
want it now, or do you want it awesome? Mark Hamill
that.
himself.
That should be a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Do you want it now, or do you want it awesome?
Exactly.
God, man, it sounds like that'd probably get you slapped if you said that to a girl. Do you want it now? Do you want it awesome?
That's good. So many girls, so little time. My friend had a t-shirt on once and literally got slapped by one of our school friends. She was like,
as you do.
I mean,
why was he wearing it in a school?
No, it wasn't at school. It was at the arcades, mate. We were down at the arcades dropping some 2 pennies.
God. Big spender, was he?
Big spender.
That's the way to treat the ladies, you know. No, you don't want to go on the bandit. You want to go on these 2p machines. Here, I've got your tub of
Take
2
him to the
pennies.
sluts.
Knock yourself out, yeah.
Excellent.
best.
Right. I'd rather eat shit now than eat ice cream. Okay, well, some people are
There
clearly
you go,
different.
Nadia. Excellent rebuttal. Excellent rebuttal to that. Do you want it now or do you want it awesome?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, if you want to go and eat shit now, then be my guest. I would probably definitely wait for the ice cream, personally. But there we go.
Flambe shit.
Right, so we're gonna wrap it up there. I think that's pretty
There
much
we
a
go.
good point to wrap it up. We're already way over. We should be. Thank you everybody for joining us. We'll just ask everybody what they're up to and where you can find them, and then we'll round it off. So, Mac, start with you. Okay, too long.
So, typing. So the tomorrow I'm streaming. Wednesday not streaming. Thursday streaming. Friday streaming. Videos throughout the week. I've got 2 of the panels coming up. The Face Tech panel I've got recorded. That's going to be coming up soon, and another one. I think it's the flight one. I'm waiting for the rest of them, like the Tony Z one, before I can start really getting into that one. Also, some videos on the Keynote, pointing out things you may have missed, and sort of breaking it down.
I haven't missed anything.
Not you.
We
you
just
dickhead,
literally
everyone
went
else.
through it all.
No,
Isn't that why they call you? No, that's not what I heard. I heard there's a reason why they call you miserable.
Miss.
Wow.
Miserable.
Misses the landing pads, misses everything.
Everything. Misses everything.
The Kraken's massive. How did you not fucking land on it? But yeah, that's about it. Just the same old, trying to keep up with the hype and praying we see 3.5
Soon. Yeah.
So yeah, if you didn't just sit through 4 hours of this podcast listening to the Keynote, go and watch
Wait for
Mac's
my
video
videos.
on the Keynote.
Not to be missed.
Not to be missed.
Unless you've seen it already, then it's to be missed.
And Vertigo, how can we find?
I'm
what
gonna
are you
go
up to?
after this podcast. I'm gonna go live with more Star Citizen. Got some Battlefield 1 later tonight, and then we're gonna be streaming tomorrow, starting at 7 a.m. Pacific, on our usual schedule. Then Wednesday, half a day, and then back to our usual schedule Saturday. So there you go.
That was a lot shorter and sweeter than mine was.
Are you going to go live straight away? So can we put the host over to you, or
Sure.
If you want to do that, we
As soon
can
as I
do
get my
that.
camera back, I can just
Yeah,
go
that's no problem.
live. We can put the-
For me, I'm not sure when I'm streaming next. I need to try and get back into it actually. But like I said, I am. If you do models in chat, you can go and if you missed the beginning part of the podcast, you can go and have a look and see all the photos I did about painting all these. If you do JR, go and give the guys. Well, you can go and have a look at their website. Keep an eye on it. Anyone that's interested in buying models or anything like that, they're in talks about it. Hopefully it'll be something coming up. So if you keep an eye on their website, you may be able to see something about it. But otherwise, they also do sell like container crates and PC cases and all sorts of cool shit on their website. It's well worth checking out and seeing some of the stuff they've done. And I'm sure there will be pictures of like their work in progress on making the Dragonfly and everything else. And also, we should be having them on next week as guests, both Cals and JR. So we're going to be talking about the making of the Dragonfly, the making of the Kraken, and all the highs and lows and everything else for all of that. So yeah, make sure you come and tune in next week to talk to those. Like I said, I will be eventually. I'll put a date out on a tweet or something when I'm going to do it. So I've got to do a video of cleaning this thing up and then painting the Dragonfly. I've also got a grey cat that I'm going to paint. And if I can get some more. If I can get them to print me another one, I'll do another Star Kitten for Techno Kitty. But if I can get another one, because that's the only one I've got at the moment. I almost had two, but it's broken. So, yeah. So you can find me on this channel, funnily enough. And exclamation mark YouTube. I will also be putting up a couple of videos of my painting session and how I painted the things as well on YouTube. So go and have a look at those. Otherwise,
the Kraken.
Thank you all for joining us. Make sure you go and join and, make hashtag Kraken a thing. Tell CIG we want them. We need Star Crocs. Star Crocs, Space Crocs. We need Croc rings.
Damn it.
And everything else. Are you live? Can we go and send you over a host or not?
Hold on a second. I have to kill my camera real quick.
Well, you don't have to put your face on it.
Oh, you're right. I don't. I have to kill the virtual cam.
Oh, he's gone.
It's gone.
I'm
Boom.
still here.
So rude.
No, I know.
Just
So
literally left
it
us.
just leaves like that. So yeah, anyway guys, thanks for following. Thanks for all the follows. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it.
Now we're live.
And we're gonna go and send you over to Mr. Vertigo when I work out how.
Vertigo.
/ raid HCVertigo. And there should be a button that shows up. If you have to go to the default your dashboard, and there's a button that shows
There you
up
go.
over there.
Croc rings for everybody. Okay guys, go and show more love to Mr. Vertigo. Make sure if you're not following him, you give him a follow and give Mac a follow, blah blah blah, all the usual stuff that we talk about. We love you all. Thank you for your support.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. See you. Bye.
Boy.
Bye now.
Boy.
Have a good day. Bye.
Boy.
Bye.
I just click raid now, do I? Otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Bye.
We're gonna be other wine saying goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
I know they changed. Just when you think